against the wall, and they nearly double up Perez at first.
Billy ball was just some type of baseball I played when I played all my life, and when I coach, the same type of baseball. It's just aggressive baseball, that's all it is.
He's right. There's the throw. Number 40. Jose Canseco, the first man ever in big league history to do it.
When I agreed to the contract by telephone, he says, "Do you have a nickname?" I told him no. He said, "Well, you got to have one." He says, "What do you like to do?" I told him, "Hunt and fish." So he sit there a minute now, and he says, "Well, when you were 6 years old, you ran away from home with fishing. About 4 o'clock that afternoon, your mom and dad found you. You caught 2 catfish, was bringing in the 3rd one." Says, "Now repeat it to me." So that's how I got my nickname.
Len Blatt working from the windup, and the first pitch to John Milner. Hit hard to the second baseman, and booted to the legs of the second baseman. Mike Andrews, 2 runs to score. McGraw scoring.
At that point, all I could think of was, what am I going to do now? I thought I'm dead, one way or another. I'm not going to be a part of this ball club. The least I can do is sign it, and maybe Manny Trio could help out.
There's a little looper out to Campaneris. The A's
After a 14-year absence, the World Series returns to Oakland, and now it's the A's task to make sure it returns to Los Angeles this weekend. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. Are the A's in trouble? You bet. Are they on the critical list? Not necessarily. Lots of teams have overcome 2-0 deficits to win the World Series. And in fact, in recent years, it's been more the rule than the exception. Kansas City in '85, the Mets a year later, and even last October, the Cardinals were down 2-0 and rallied to win the next 3 games before eventually losing to Minnesota. Trying to bounce back, Tony La Russa hands the ball to Bob Welch tonight. The former Dodger was 17-9 in his first season in the American League. And of course, he has a World Series history. As a 21-year-old rookie in 1978, he won this epic confrontation with Reggie Jackson. He's opposed tonight by the former Cardinal John Tudor. Look at that glittering ERA. And Tudor says the recent hip problem he's had, he's beyond that. No problem for him tonight, but he is concerned by the fact that he might have trouble getting into a rhythm. He's pitched only once in the last 3 weeks. Vin and Joe will tell you more about the pitchers and some lineup juggling by Oakland in just a few moments. There is one item we want to note, however. Kirk Gibson is not available to DH tonight. He simply cannot run. He could be used as a late-inning pinch hitter. Tommy Lasorda will go with Mike Davis as his DH. Lasorda just hopes that the movie script can continue for him here in Oakland. And speaking of Hollywood, Marv Albert and I will step to the plate and take a few cuts as film critics when the World Series pregame show continues. Stay with us.
NBC Sports presents the World Series, an inside look. Brought to you by Michelin. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. And by Apple Computer, giving you the power to be your best in home, school, and business.
It's time now for Diamond Views with Marv Albert and Bob Costas.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time-honored American tradition, Diamond Views with Bob and Marv. Today's topic, baseball movies. Big summer at the movies for our grand national game with the release of 8 Men Out and Bull Durham. And now sort of a Siskel and Ebert type of thing. And although neither one of us exactly fits the physical proportions as a visual aid, I will play the role of Roger Ebert. And in a bizarre twist, Marv will appear as himself.
And with apologies, Bob, to Siskel and Ebert, we open up by taking a look at 8 Men Out. You will see the key pitcher, Ed Seacott, throwing the ball, and he never really releases the ball. And this blew my mind. Let's take a look. Bob, I just didn't care for the movie. I thought philosophically the film was out of the 40s or 50s, and it looked like it was colorized, but it was from that era. You saw players throwing the ball, and they'd cut away. You'd never see the follow-through. I thought in terms of the actors playing baseball, it was the worst group of actors playing baseball since Tony Perkins in Fear Strikes Out.
Marv. We all know your favorite movie of the summer was Ishtar. So this calls your credibility into some question. Yes, these guys were not expert baseball players, but John Sayles, who wrote the screenplay and directed it, I thought captured the spirit of the times, and I thought it was a beautifully photographed movie, although his mistake was to try and tell so many individual stories, to tell like 10 or 12 indivial stories within the movie.
You say you like it or you don't?
I liked it.
I
basically liked it. It was somewhat flawed.
Somewhat flawed?
Much as I view your work, I basically like it. Somewhat flawed. And now we're going to move to Bull Durham, where there's a little conference on the mound as the Durham Bulls go through a crisis in a late inning situation.
Excuse me, what the hell's going on out here? Well, Nuke's scared because his eyelids are jammed and his old man's here. We need a live rooster? We need a live rooster to take the curse off Jose's glove, and nobody seems to know what to get Millie or Jimmy for their wedding present. Is that about right? That's right. We're dealing with a lot of stuff.
Okay, well, candlesticks always make a nice gift, and maybe you can find out where she's registered, maybe a place setting or maybe a silverware pattern. Okay, let's get to it.
And it's important to have a coaching staff well-versed in the social graces. Bull Durham is a thumbs-up across the board. Ron Shelton, the director, as you might know, is a former Oriole farmhand. He has a real feel for the legitimate sights and sounds that surround a baseball situation, and it's a tour de force, of course, for Susan Sarandon.
This was the best constructed baseball movie of all time. It was, as you say, extremely well done. We actually agree on this one. Tim Robbins did have some bad moments, some awkward moments in playing Nuke LaLoosh, but for the most part, it was just a bang-up job.
So this is going to come as quite a shock to veteran observers of Diamond Views. You and I agree. 2 thumbs up.
No question about it. Let's move on now to the natural, and we'll take a look at a scene featuring the star, Robert Redford. He has lost his legendary bat, Wonder Boy, and is forced now to rely on the bat from the Bat Boy in the film's most crucial moment. Redford was indeed a natural in his role. They did take some poetic license in the film, but I think it was set up as a fable. Even the grainy texture of the film gave it that approach. It was the type of movie I would have enjoyed as a wide-eyed youngster.
Malamud's book, The Natural, was itself a bit of mythology and fantasy, and that's the direction in which the movie moved.
So you're saying you like it?
Very much.
Just trying to clarify this.
I like The Natural.
I agree
very
with you.
much.
Once again, I'm right with you. We agree 2 out of 3, but wait.
All right, we're moving on now to the Babe Ruth story, starring that greatest of all cinematic athletes, William Bendix. He played the Sultan of Swat. Did he really revive a dying child with a key home run? Absolutely. Take a look. Marv, what can you say here? This film is so exquisitely bad that it becomes good. This movie is positively exquisite.
Well, as a kid, I liked it. Now, when you look at movies in adulthood, you're looking at it from more of a technical view, but you see it more simplistically.
That's right, Marv, and you're Vincent Canby, right? Come on, Marv!
Wait a second. But things are different. Bob, obviously, you like everything. And I would check this out. You like everything. Do you realize that?
What, did I like everything in this?
Well, wait a second.
I did.
Yes, you did. 8 Men Out. Did you like that? I forget.
I liked it.
I try to wipe out this segment.
Very evocative motion picture.
Evocative.
Yes.
All right, evocative. Now, Natural you like. We both agreed on that one, right? Bull Durham we both like. The Babe Ruth story.
In a perverse way. I like the Babe Ruth story.
Yes, this man needs help.
All right, Sourpuss, so next you're going to tell me you didn't even like Gary Cooper and Teresa Wright in Pride of the Yankees, a classic.
No, I enjoyed that one. In fact,
fine.
For its time, it probably was the best sports movie of its era. You like everything. This is a joke. Are you going to tell me that you liked Ronald Reagan and Doris Day? What was the name of that movie?
The Winning Team.
He knows the name of the movie
Very
also.
interesting treatment.
This has been Diamond Views with Marv Albert and Bob Costas.
And Ronald Reagan could only pitch effectively if Doris Day sat and smiled at him when she wasn't at the game.
The World Series pregame will continue in a moment.
I love Winky Dink and You, a classic cartoon
I have
series.
a suggestion for you. Some of these movies you should look at.
Tribute to the spirit of baseball. Brought to you by...
Bad News Bears, 2 or 3 that you felt had the aura of Fellini. Which one was it?
Oh, well, what about Bang the Drum Slowly? You didn't even like that? De Niro, Gardenia, Moriarty?
No, I liked it, but they did not exactly remind me of Tinkers to Evers to Chance. You are the type of guy, I get the feeling, that enjoys the baseball instructional videos.
Well, what about It Happened Every Spring? Now, Ray Milland was a guy who really knew how to doctor a baseball. This argument must end. This argument must end. We must move to the PA man, whose name here at Oakland is Roy Steele. And we'll see you a bit later, everybody.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to game number 3 of the 1988 World Series. And now let's meet the National League champion, Los Angeles Dodgers. The manager, Tommy Lasorda. And now tonight's Dodgers starting lineup. Leading off, number 3, Steve Sachs, second base. Batting second, number 22, Franklin Stubbs, first base. Hitting third, number 9, Mickey Hatcher, left field. Batting fourth, number 5, Mike Marshall, right field. In the fifth position, number 31, John Shelby, center field. Hitting sixth, number 37, Mike Davis, designated hitter. Batting seventh, number 14, Mike Scioscia, catcher. Hitting eighth, number 33, Jeff Hamilton, third base. And batting ninth, number 7, Alfredo Griffin, shortstop. Warming up in the visiting bullpen tonight, starting pitcher for Los Angeles, number 30, John Tudor. And now, your American League champion, Oakland Athletics. Tony La Russa. And now tonight's A's starting lineup. Leading off, number 2, Tony Phillips, left field. Batting second, number 42, Dave Henderson, center field. Hitting third, number 33, Jose Canseco, right field. Batting fourth, number 25, Mark McGuire, first base. In the fifth position, number 36, Terry Steinbach, designated hitter. Hitting sixth, number 4, Carney Lansford, third base. Batting seventh, number 17, Glenn Hubbard, second base. Hitting eighth, number 24, Ron Hasse, catcher. And in the ninth position, number 7, Walt Weiss, shortstop. Warming up in the A's bullpen tonight, starting pitcher for Oakland, number 35, Bob Welch. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the center field gate area as the United States Army Recruiting Command from San Francisco presents the colors for tonight's game. And now, to honor America, please rise and join in the singing of our national anthem as performed by national recording artist Maureen McGovern.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
On a gorgeous night in Oakland, it's Tudor for the Dodgers and Welch for the A's. Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola set to call it right after we check with Tom Brokaw, who has NBC News at this hour.
The 1988 World Series is brought to you by Miller Lite. For great taste, there is only one light beer, Miller Lite. By Seiko. Come see the complete Seiko collection, only at your authorized Seiko dealer. and by Dr. Pepper and Dr. Pepper bottlers throughout the USA.
The site has changed, but the weather remains magnificent. Temperatures have reached the low 80s in the Oakland area as we await the start of Game 3 of the 1988 World Series. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. Welcome to the Oakland Coliseum, where with over 48,000 in attendance, it looks like baseball's answer to a revival meeting.
And that is about what it is with the fans, with the players. In fact, they said, hey, don't count us out. But it's their ballpark. Their fans will be here. And I think the ballpark will come into play because of the foul territory. It seems like there's the most in the big leagues, and balls that ordinarily go into the stands will stay in play. And I know the Dodger scouts told their players, hey, on an overthrow, you keep running because you can get that extra base. There's a lot of room.
It would seem a little strange that in a ballpark known for the power of the Oakland A's, the pitchers would have the advantage of considerable foul room area. But there is another area that we should keep an eye on during the course of the regular season, from foul pole to the Oakland A's logo, both in right field and in left field. That's where the ball carries exceptionally well. Right center, left center, and center field, not so well, except it is warmer now than it is during the regular season, so the ball should carry.
I have to smile because I'm wondering, how can you tell with Canseco if the ball carries well?
That's right.
But Don Baylor said, hey, home runs in Dodger Stadium are just big fly ball outs here. Well, we'll see.
And it was interesting because down in Los Angeles, there was a heat wave, and it was played early at a 5:30 game, so that really did allow Marshall's ball to carry, where earlier in the year it might not have gone all the way. Well, with all of that speculation, it's Bob Welch and John Tudor. We'll be right back right after this. A lovely and at the same time exciting beginning tonight, with the beautiful voice of Maureen McGovern singing the national anthem, then a flyover at the conclusion of the anthem by four F-4 Phantom jets from the 144th Fighter Interceptor Wing of the Air National Guard from Fresno, California. And by the way, the first ball, the ceremonial first ball, from Walter Haas, the owner of the Oakland Athletics, who will throw out the first pitch.
Where one of Oakland's premier citizens is about to toss out tonight's ceremonial first pitch. In the fall of 1980, amid speculation that the Athletics might leave the Bay Area, he headed a group that purchased the franchise, ensuring it would remain in Oakland. Since then, his family and the Athletics have shown a commitment to civic involvement and have played an important role in this city's renaissance. Ladies and gentlemen, throwing out tonight's ceremonial first pitch, the owner of the Oakland Athletics, Mr. Walter Haas.
Walter Haas throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. When you come to Oakland, you think of the golden years from 1971 through 1975, when they won 5 division crowns and 3 consecutive world championships under a gentleman who is totally opposite than Walter Haas. That, of course, would be the one and only Charlie Finley.
That's about as flamboyant as Walter Haas will get as to grab the rosin bag. Charlie would have had the mule out there, Vin.
And here come the A's. As the Oakland A's go to their defensive stations, let's take a look at the Dodger lineup. Steve Sachs leading off, followed by Franklin Stubbs and Mickey Hatcher in left field. Kirk Gibson could not even be the DH. He could appear as a pinch hitter. Mike Marshall in right field. John Shelby in center. Mike Davis, who spent a good portion of his career here, returns as the designated hitter for the Dodgers. Mike Scioscia behind the plate. Jeff Hamilton at third, and another former A's, Alfredo Griffin at shortstop.
Bob Welch, I'm sure they talked about making him get that fastball down, and as he started to, you might take a look at that hat. That's his The hat they gave him for opening day, and he had a brand new one on before the game, but he calls this his gamer. He will not part with it, much like La Russa. What he's doing now is what he's pretty much known for, and that's digging around that mound. Mike Bodiger said he digs a hole big enough to plant a tiger in it. Got a good curveball, a good high fastball. Ben, you've seen him for 10 years.
I have looked at him for 10 years. He appeared in 292 games for the Dodgers, and he is an excellent pitcher. Never mind just the fact he won 17, he is outstanding. However, the Dodgers are going to try and play a little mind game with him because he is inclined to be hyper. In fact, with Bob Welch on the mound and Steve Sachs at home plate, that's the closest thing to perpetual motion we'll ever see.
And the way they'll play that mind game will be backing in and out of the box. Once he gets into a rhythm, he likes to get that ball and throw it, and they'll try to break that rhythm. Now, if he has a little trouble, and he usually has trouble early, then you'll see the Dodgers staying in that box.
Let's take a look at the A's with the leather.
Phillips, Henderson, and Canseco in the outfield. A little better defense, but they're still going to run on them. And you'll see Lansford, Weiss, Hubbard, McGuire. That has not changed. Hassey's behind the plate, and as Vince said, Steinbach is the DH. So here we go.
So Bob Welch, wearing the number he wore with the Dodgers, 35. Rick Honeycutt kept his old number, 40. And it really does seem strange for those of us who have known him for so long to see him in the other uniform. But you can bet he will really give the Dodgers his best shot. 1 ball and no strikes. The count is Steve Sachs leading it off.
There they go already. You don't see him do that too often, backing in and out.
They will not only back out of the box a lot, but if anybody gets on base, they will make him throw as many times as humanly possible to first base. In other words, Bobby's the type of pitcher. He'll come set, and if you as much as move a shoulder, he'll throw to first. And that's what they're going to try to do to him tonight. 2 balls, no strikes. In there. 2-1. So Sachs starting it off, followed by Stubbs and Hatcher. Game 3, Lansford in on the grass at third. Sachs goes the other way, base hit to right field.
And you're liable to see Sachs really send a message by trying to make something happen. Likes to run. Welch has a big leg kick. He's quick to first base, but coming to the plate a little bit slower.
Now, just especially for those of you who might be keeping score, we'll start to count how many times Sachs makes Welch go to first, just to throw over there. And another tip-off on Bobby is his right foot on the rubber. If it looks comfortable, he's calming down. If he gets edgy all the time, it'll be another story. And you see, and that's what's going to happen all night, or at least that's the battle within the battle right now.
He can't get too comfortable this early, I'll tell you.
But this is typical of him. You see, he's already been on and off the rubber now, and now a throw to first. We're going to see so much of that, you're going to find it hard to believe.
And there goes Stubbs out of the box. Sachs was 3 for 3 until he hit that ball, and Stubbs was in, out. They're going to try to win this game without a bat and a ball, at least start it that way.
You talk about messing with somebody's mind. That's exactly what they will do with Bob Welch. And as you can see, base runners have caused him considerable grief. But remember, we're looking at a fellow who won 17 games this year. 4-1, 1-0. Joe Malpitano coaching at third, and Manny Mota coaching at first. The coaching boxes appear to float here at the Coliseum because they are all grass, as opposed to many that are cut out and you have a dirt infield. See how they're all grass? They look longer. The rules say 20 feet, but since it's all grass, they just seem to kind of move around out there before your eyes. There he bluffed a bluff and a pitch out. So even that is to undermine it.
He gave him a real good bluff. He gave it a good false start off first base. If you're going to bluff, that's the way to do it. A lot of times the guys will take that first step and then stop. But again, there you see Stubbs. They're going to make... It's almost the same thing you see in football when the winning field goes in the last seconds. They'll make him think.
Now back. You know, as long as I watch Bob Welch pitch, and as many weeks, months, and years I traveled with him, I never knew he had a drinking problem. until finally he wrote his book, and it is a rather appropriate title for a World Series game on the West Coast. 5 o'clock comes early. The reason he had it 5 o'clock comes early, when you're on the road and you have a 7:30 game, the bus always leaves the ballpark, leaves the hotel 2.5 hours before the game. Oh, they are really trying to run him up a wall now.
They will do everything. And that's one way, make him think.
2 balls and 1 strike to Franklin Stubbs. You don't put plays on with Stubbs. In other words, if Sachs goes, it would be a straight steal because Franklin's a feast-or-famine hitter. Remember we said to keep track? Well, he's thrown 3 pitches to home plate and 5 to first base. And that's typical Bob Welch. 6.
You know, with Stubbs up there, he is a pull hitter. Sachs has the green light. He can go at any time, but you like that hole between first and second.
They've been trying to change Stubbs' batting style. Sachs goes on a foul ball, out of play. So that was a straight steal because we said with Stubbs, he has trouble making contact. What Franklin basically was a stiff back hitter. He looked like he was a tension. And they had him bend his knees and waist and actually put the bat on his left shoulder. Now Bobby Welch is trying to get him out with high fastballs. Sachs goes, another foul ball.
It's already been a pretty long inning for Bob Welch out there, and Sachs is adding a little pressure every time he runs. Last 2 times he's gone. Once again, he's one of those guys, if he gets the jump go, you don't put any plays on, it's been said. Sachs has been getting a pretty good jump. Welch is quick to first, but he's just average to home.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. We're just starting. So far, all of the pregame thinking has held up. A lot of throws to first, and the hitters will back out on him.
And I'll tell you, that takes a toll on the infielders because they get ready to make the play and whoops over to first base. Ready to make the play, whoops over to first base. It takes its toll.
Look at that. Oh, he almost quick pitched and got away with it. Now, that was a thoroughly professional play for Bob Welch. He didn't balk, but he made sure there was no wasted motion, and there was a 91-mile-an-hour fastball, and Sachs couldn't move, and he just froze Stubbs.
Good high fastball. You can see it riding outside. Once he got set, he came to that plate in a hurry. As they say, he wasn't in foul territory, but he was brushing the pole.
That was a big play for Bob Welch. Really big. Strike to Hatcher. In other words, the Dodgers put the screws to him immediately, and he survived it. 0-1 to count to Hatcher, who's becoming a folk hero on the West Coast. Fouled away, jammed him too, hit him in on the hands, and the count 0-2.
Well, Welch knows what Hatcher was trying to do, punch that ball into right field, and, you know, Welch knows the Dodgers know him, but how much advantage there is, you really can't figure it out, because here's a case of Welch knowing how the Dodgers play and what Hatcher's going to do, and he just came inside and stopped all of it.
No balls, 2 strikes.
Assy is constantly looking at the bench, see if he can get a pitch out.
Sachs leaning over, almost trying to read Amalfitano. In fact, Sachs appears awfully confident. Welch straddled the rubber, and Sachs did not retreat at all. In fact, even with him off the rubber, he increased his lead. Fouled away. 0-2. But I would think that Bob Welch has already climbed a pretty good mountain in that duel with Stubbs and the throws to first, and then striking out Stubbs. That's gotten him off on the right foot.
I think holding Sachs there was more important than even striking out Stubbs, because Stubbs is a strikeout guy.
0-2 to Mickey Hatcher. Got him. And now I would say Bob Welch is on his way.
If you're going to get him, you better get him early. And it looked like the Dodgers were ready to go get him, and he has just fought back, and he's in pretty good shape now.
So 2 down, a runner at first. We'll take another look at Hatcher. And that just dipped in there nicely, as you probably would know, as almost every pitcher who's making money at it. he has a pretty good split finger, and he throws it hard. Here now is Marshall. Now you have a high ball pitcher and a very erratic hitter. Mike will chase almost anything, and no matter what the count, no matter where the pitch. And you have a strikeout pitcher on the mound, although Bob did not strike out as many this year. His high was 8. He has struck out as many as 12 in his career 2 years ago when he was in the National League. 2 down, first inning, no score, so pull up a chair. We're just starting out. Now there's been so much damage, no balls, 2 strikes. Keep that in mind. Boy, have we seen some 0-2 humdingers in the League Championship Series. Gary Carter's bloop double to beat the Dodgers. Canseco's 2-run home run against Clemens. Not this time. He strikes out the side, does Bob Welch. And at the end of half an inning, Dodgers nothing. A's coming up. The Oakland A's had to get a big lift as Bob Welch struck out the side in the first inning, and here they come offensively. Tony Phillips in left field and Dave Henderson in center, Jose Canseco in right, and Mark McGuire at first. Terry Steinbach will be the DH, Carney Lansford at third, Glenn Hubbard the second baseman, Ron Hasse behind the plate, and the shortstop will be Walt Weiss. In looking at that lineup, one thought: with Steinbach, a catcher, the DH, and Hasse in the game catching, they have only 2 catchers. Matt Sinatro not eligible. If anything should happen to Hasse, and since Sinatro was not eligible, Steinbach would catch, and then the A's would lose their designated hitter. So it is just a little subtlety about the DH as we go to the bottom of the first inning. And Tony Phillips to start it off. Strike. When Tony La Russa was agonizing about his starting lineup, he decided to go with Phillips, a switch hitter who was very effective against left-hand pitching and gives him a little extra defense in the outfield. 1-1.
Kind of surprising. A lot of people thought he'd go with Parker, and Parker's been hitting well, but the very fact that Phillips has done so well against left-handers and the defense really tilted it that way.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ball 2. There are 4 fingers of sunlight as Bobby Welch sits and relaxes. The 4 fingers are in straightaway center field. Otherwise, no sunshine to contend with. It'll be Shelby's problem, and only for a little while. 2-1. Fouled away.
John Tudor lives on that outside corner. You'll see Sochu setting up that way, but make no bones about it, he'll come inside, which is one of the things that Herzog liked about him, pitching inside of Fenway when Whitey got him over to the Cardinals. He'll keep you honest coming inside, but he'll change speeds and stay on that outside corner.
2 balls and 2 strikes, time called. He is the rarest of left-handers that I've seen. He will rarely, if ever, throw a curveball or a breaking ball to a right-hand batter. That's fouled away.
Now one that you can hit anyhow. Batting lefty, a low ball hitter. Batting righty, high ball hitter. Poor breaking ball hitter from either side. Well, that pretty well says it.
All right, then let's see if Tudor throws the breaking ball to him.
There it was.
Popped it up, and it'll be Franklin Stubbs in the coaching box.
You think that was a fastball?
No, I thought it was an off-speed change, straight change.
That's what I say. He wasn't going to give him the fastball.
72-mile-an-hour straight change. As we said, here's a guy he knows is a poor breaking ball hitter, and he still won't throw him the breaking ball as a right-handed batter.
Tudor will tell you the change of speed off the change of speed. He likes to say, I throw it slow, slower, and slower, and he refers to it as a dead fish. In fact, his speed at 83, 82, 81, 83, 74.
Well, here's a guy who likes it down, and he's a first ball hitter, so he gets it away. Dave Anderson. Dave Henderson playing center field. 1 ball and no strikes. I would really be surprised if he ever gave him a breaking ball to hit, because the word is that Henderson, if you make a mistake and hang a curveball, he'll hit it out of state.
There it is. Can be jammed. It'll be tough for Tudor to jam him unless he's looking for the ball outside. Excellent mistake hitter. That is the ultimate cop-out.
1 ball and 1 strike. Threw pretty hard. Another thing that Tudor will do, if he's going to try and get the ball up and in on Henderson, he will drop his arm so that he's throwing uphill, and he'll actually get his hand kind of under the ball. Doesn't do it too often. 1 and 2. Turned it over. 2 balls, 2 strikes. For instance, that previous fastball was 84 miles an hour, and guess who? If you don't know who that is, you're not paying attention. Jose Canseco. Chopper to first, backhanded by Stubbs. 2 down. Tudor has had 3 physical problems, and now he's facing number 33, maybe the biggest physical problem for pitchers in the American League.
It's a little tough to be 60 feet 6 inches from home plate and have to change speeds with Canseco up there. He's got a brand new bat that he was working on. He likes to have that handle thin. He worked on it himself before the game.
This will really be the bit of finesse against brute power. Turned it over away, ball 1.
You saw with that pitch that Tudor really is in command of this game. I mean, all you can do as a catcher is suggest. You saw Socia put down 3 different signs before Tudor came to the plate. He knows what he wants to throw and when.
1 ball, 1 strike. Almost to the screen.
Looked like he hurt himself, Ben, when he threw that one. He threw that extra hard, walked around the mound.
We're talking about his physical problems. He had a terrible break sitting in the dugout. Barry Lyons of the Mets slid into the dugout going after a foul ball and broke his leg.
Watch this when he throws it. Look at him. See his left arm? He kind of dropped it and walked around.
He has a very tender left elbow and a sore right hip. And he threw a little breaking ball and got it in there.
He's hurting. After that last pitch, you can see him almost wince. I think he's hurting myself.
And they will watch him. 2 balls, 1 strike. Of course, Whitey Herzog said he never pitched a game where he wasn't hurting.
Whitey says even when he feels good, he hurts.
2 and 1.
He's not right.
No.
He is not right
here
at all.
comes Bill Bueller and Ron Peranowski. So
he's hurting.
On that pitch to Jose Canseco, when you saw him wince and his left arm go to his side.
69-mile-an-hour fastball. Watch his reactions. As a catcher, you just watch it. Now watch after he follows through. Right there. That tells you. Yes, sir. You can't hide that.
He is 6 feet tall and 185 pounds, but really looks so fragile. You wouldn't think of him as being even 185. Well, he's convinced them and he's okay. Lasorda, who is right up there now, managing his 21st World Series game. He's won 10 and lost 10. Sweating out his left-hander. So 3 and 1 to count to Canseco. 2 out in the first inning, no score.
Whoa. He aired it out that time.
Interesting, Lasorda was a left-hand pitcher in his day. His pitching coach, a left-hand pitcher, Ron Peranowski. High fly ball. He hit under it, and Mickey Hatcher will have plenty of time. So Tudor gets out of the first inning. Welsh survived his battle, and we're underway. No score. If you had to sum up the first inning, I think you would call it mind over matter. The Dodgers went after Welsh's mind in the top of the first, and in the bottom half, it's a question of what's the matter with John Tudor. And down in the Dodger bullpen, Tim Leary begins to loosen up, so it could be serious. Tudor got his windbreaker, left the dugout, went back to the clubhouse, so we'll see. Fouled away.
You know, one of the rare things about this ballpark, where Leary is warming up now, he's throwing to the outfield. They usually try to line up a bullpen to where you throw the same way as the mounds. He's throwing actually completely opposite. It's kind of rare.
Foul ball. One of the things, and the reason why it is rare here in this ballpark, you know, there's so much foul ground. We showed you that in our opening remarks. Remember, they played football here. The great silver and black Oakland Raiders, and you needed that foul ground. Down goes Shelby, and John is having a terrible time making contact.
I asked the groundskeeper if there's a particular reason for that. He says no particular reason. But I would think that you'd want to throw, but I can see that they're throwing into the outfield as opposed to throwing it towards the stands, and I would imagine that would be a factor.
Meanwhile, Bob Welch, all he has done, gave up the single to Sachs and struck out 4 straight. And here is Mike Davis.
Once he settles down, Ben, as you well know, he's tough to get.
Oh, and how he could pitch a gem once he got by that tough first inning. 4-1. Interesting with the human mind, you say to Mike Davis, who hit 86 home runs representing the Oakland A's and hit 40 of them here. You say, if I say the Oakland Coliseum to you, what comes to mind? He said, a great catch I happened to make against Gary Pettis of the Angels. I said, he putting me on. He said, no, it's funny, but it's the defensive play that you always remember. Fouled away, 2-1.
Wells struck out Marshall and Shelby on 3 pitches each, and I kind of think that that's a little bit of a message. You guys are not going to get me. I'll show you the kind of stuff I got. I'm not even going to work on you.
2-1. Chopper to the right side. Glenn Hubbard is right there. 2 down.
Here comes Socia now. A lot of people think that if you catch a pitcher, you know exactly what he's going to do, and you do know his tendencies, but that also works against you, because you say, well, in this spot, he usually always do the curveball, but he knows I know that, so what's he going to do? So I definitely think the edge is with the pitcher in this spot.
Breaking ball. So started him that way, and the count 0-1.
Some people say, I know one catcher who says that any pitcher he caught, he could hit. Wish I could have said that.
0-1, fastball, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. We're in the second inning, no score. The field in shade, no problems about fighting the setting sun. In fact, the outfielders say this is a great ballpark, except for a late day game where you have a lot of shadows. Otherwise, no problems at all. Okay, Socia, you win the first one. A shot to center.
High fastball. He got the ball up, and Socia was waiting.
Well, one thing, the Dodgers are not going to apply any pressure to Welch with Mike Socia.
I knew you were going to say that.
You do that. Jeff Hamilton coming up.
Number 33, Jeff Hamilton.
Although, I will say this. Coming out on deck is Alfredo Griffin, so that's no tip-off on Tudor, of course, playing in an American League park. The Dodgers would play hit and run with Jeff Hamilton. One ball and no strikes. Leary has stopped throwing in the bullpen. He has his windbreaker on and is now jogging into the dugout. So we'll see if that means he's coming in the game or not. As we said, Tudor winced, completed the inning, picked up his windbreaker, and went back to the clubhouse. And I don't believe we see Tudor in there.
Leary's reporting in to Pernowski and to Lasorda.
2 balls and no strikes. Top of the second, no score. Mike Socia at first. Fouled away. Sellout crowd, that means around 49,000. There you see John Tudor now. He's returned, seated between Mike Davis and Franklin Stubbs. I would think, since he has come back onto the bench, that he's going to stay in the game.
I would think, because if he was hurting, he'd be getting some work done.
2-1. Ball 3. So Bobby Welch, after striking out 4 in a row, gave up a 2-out single to Mike Socia, and he's 3-1 to Jeff Hamilton. And there's ball 4. Welsh making a lot of pitches. He has struck out 4, given up 2 hits. Now he has walked a batter. And Alfredo Griffin coming up, and Tony La Russa kind of stirring around a little restlessly.
Well, that base on balls always is bad, but spots like with 2 outs, don't like that at all. You got your 8th place hitter up there, and Welsh went really hard against the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and looked like here he let up a little bit. And Hamilton.
No balls and 1 strike. Alfredo, who had so many good years with Oakland. In fact, Walt Weiss was saying that when I came up and joined the club, Alfredo never spoke to me except saying hello. And then prior to the first game of the World Series, he went in the clubhouse and said, Walt, you did a great job. Congratulations. And he made Walt Weiss feel 10 feet tall.
Oh, this guy, you can see he's a good guy in the ball club. I'll tell you, yesterday during the workout, all he really practiced on was dragging the bunt. So I would not be surprised to see him, not in this spot, of course, but before this night's over, try to beat out a bunt.
He had big numbers with Oakland. 285, 270, 263. He hasn't come close to hitting like that since he came over to the National League.
Welsh is relying mostly on that fastball and that splitter, but mostly the fastball. He's only throwing 4 curveballs, that big downer that he's got.
2 balls, 1 strike. 2 on, 2 out, no score, 2nd inning. There's the fastball on a good outside part of the plate. 2-2.
Again, I would think if he had confidence in his curveball, this would be the spot to throw it right here. But it's a feel that the pitcher has to have, and as a catcher, you know that if he's got confidence. And if he doesn't, you got to keep working to try to get it for him.
And the Dodgers do not have any speed out there, remember. Mike Socia at second, Jeff Hamilton at first. Neither man runs well. So this is the pitch he wants, 2-2 rather than 3-2. Got him. And he blew him away. 5 strikeouts for Bob Welsh in 2 innings, and Tudor will go back to work. No score.
There are all kinds of meetings going on. Lasorda talking to Tudor before he went out this inning. And watching Tudor warm up, it looked like he might have been hurting. And right now, Scioscia's out talking to him. Here he is warming up. Now watch him when he throws that kind of go down as if it just doesn't feel right.
The most important part of John Tudor's game, obviously, we're not talking stuff or control. The most important part of his game is the arm speed in his delivery. Strike to Mark McGwire. He can get by a lot as long as he maintains the same arm speed, because he can then throw stiff-wristed and almost push the ball with his middle and index finger for the change, or at the last second flip it to get a little velocity. He flipped that, and the count 0-2.
He definitely is not right, but he's going to battle. He's a battler. Of course, arm speed is so important. If you throw your change of pace different than you do your fastball, you're going to be in trouble. He relies heavily on changing speeds and spotting the ball, and he is battling right now, and that's what I'm sure what Scioscia and Peranowski and Lasorda are going to be watching.
Another problem is he hasn't pitched. He has thrown once in the last 24 days. And he was hammered in Game 4 of the league playoffs against the Mets. Both Darryl Strawberry and Kevin McReynolds, the power hitters, hit consecutive home runs against him. And they spun him out with 8 hits and 4 runs in 5 innings. 0-2 to McGwire. Half swing, down he goes.
He's walking off the mound.
Yeah, he's had it. He's coming out because he knows well, now let's see. He was walking off like, I can't make another pitch if my life depends.
He wants to stay in the ball game. He's that kind of a battler, but you can see even warming up, it just was pain.
And Tim Leary will unbutton the jacket.
Scioscia was out there a long time before the inning started.
Now, a point to be made here. John Tudor went out to start the inning. Had Leary gone out to start the inning, he would just be given the 8 warm-up tosses. Technically now, Leary is being brought in to replace an injured pitcher, and that means he can make as many warm-up tosses as he feels necessary, as we see a disconsolate, downcast John Tudor forced to leave.
Tudor apparently gave it that little extra on the pitch that got McGuire, because he walks right off. McGuire kind of a half swing. Now he starts that way. You can see that arm is getting him, because the point I want to make, Vin, is I don't think there's any strategy involved in that in starting the inning, because if he hits the home run, you're in deep, deep trouble. And a guy like Tudor, the mound is no place for heroes. If you're hurting, you got to get out of there before you get your ball club in trouble.
I could read Tommy Lasorda's lips, and that's not really much of a task. And Tommy said to one of the trainers he had no pop. And I think that was supposed to be a fastball to McGuire, and there was no pop, so it wound up being a great changeup to strike him out, but he was done. Tim Leary.
Tudor was really upset that he had to leave the game, because this is a pretty good competitor, and you can see he walks all the way to the mound, and he's hoping that something will happen to keep him in the game, but there's no way. The Dodgers really look at him reacting.
So the Dodgers lose John Tudor, and of course Kirk Gibson is unable to play. And as they arrived here 2 games up on the Oakland A's, I couldn't help but think of a sign on the wall in Sparky Anderson's office at Tiger Stadium, and it says, every 24 hours the world turns over on a guy who was sitting on top of it. The report is pain in the left elbow, and of course that was bothering him prior to the hip injury. So John Tudor will now give way to a totally different pitcher, a power pitcher with a split finger, Tim Leary. Fastball in there.
Stop to think about it, Vin. They have one at bat from Gibson and an inning in the third from Tudor.
And now it's funny how it will work out when we get down to the short strokes. But Steinbach is the DH only because, well, not only, but because he was so good against left-hand pitching. And now suddenly they have their 2 catchers in the game, and they really don't need him. And it's getting cooler here. Ball 2, 2-1. I think we mentioned it the first time we saw him in the World Series. Tim Leary working on Terry Steinbach with Carney Lansford to follow. Tim was kind of the Dodgers' answer to Mike Scott. Scott went from nowhere to 18 wins and stardom, and Leary has done pretty much the same thing. Shot back to him, and he stays with it. Fine play, and especially someone just starting out the evening. Anyway, Leary went to Mexico, having won only 3 games last year, developed the split finger down there, plus a cut fastball, and after 100 innings, started this year, and he's been a tower of strength.
Give him a lot of credit to that big glove that they have, that webbing that they have. It's almost like a fish net, and he just reached out. His follow-through was not that good, but that big glove, he was able to grab it.
Of course, the entire lineup hasn't been up yet, so it doesn't mean anything. But it is certainly a difference for Socia, for instance, to handle Tudor for 4 hitters and then suddenly get Leary.
Oh, you can catch Tudor with a Kleenex, and this guy, you better have a pretty good glove.
2 balls and no strikes. So Tony La Russa down 2 games to none, but he's at home with a ball club that won 104 games this year. There's a one-hopper at Griffin. Alfredo stays with it in the dirt, and Stubbs dug it out. So they're gone in the second, are the A's, and we'll be back after these messages from your local station.
The 1988 World Series is brought to you by Goodyear Certified Auto Service. Nobody fits you like Goodyear. And by your Toyota dealer. Whatever car or truck you choose, you'll love the quality. Who could ask for anything more?
The Goodyear Blimp Columbia, piloted by Nick Nicolari from El Toro, California, sailing serenely outlined against that blue sky. Beautiful day as we go to the third. No score. Chopper up the middle, flagged by Weiss behind the bag to get him. Walt Weiss has been scintillating in the 3 games.
I think the poise of this youngster is what's just so amazing to me. Now, he's got that ball all the way. Big hop. Now, watch him brace himself when he can, and he gets something on the throw because Sachs can run.
The one away in the third. Fine play by Weiss. He's made about 5 in the series thus far. Here's Franklin Stubbs, who struck out in the first inning. In at the knuckles. 1 ball, no strikes. On deck, Mickey Hatcher. Fouled away.
Either the Dodgers have forgotten or they think that Welsh has settled down, because you saw Sachs hit the first pitch and Stubbs, he hasn't been moving around as much as he did that first time up. Sachs was in and out, but hit the first pitch this time.
Full foul the other way.
And I'm still waiting to see that big curveball that he's got. He's relying heavily on that fastball. He's got a good split finger, too.
Bob Welsh trying to keep the A's above water here. Big assignment for him. With 1 out in the third, no score. And he strikes out his 6th batter to put it another way. Of the 8 outs, he struck out 6 of the 8.
And one of them was Mickey Hatcher, and the last time up, here it comes. Look at him bearing down on the target. He has not left his eyes right on that target. Split finger, breaking straight down.
1 ball and no strikes to Hatcher, who struck out in the first inning.
Started to say on that strikeout, the first 2 pitches were inside. The 4th one he struck him out on was outside, but he's changed a little bit.
Good fastball. He's throwing very hard. The lights have not taken particular effect, but you don't need a speed gun when you see he's pumping. And as you can see, he looks like he's going to turn that around, and in a hurry.
And now he is turning it around to the extent that I want a new ball, I'll take some time. And the Dodgers are ready to bat. I mean, in the first inning, in and out this time, he seems to have settled down.
He fought quite a battle if you weren't with us in the first inning. Sachs singled to right, and they just literally tried to drive him crazy, and he struck out the side instead. And when he did that and walked off the mound, it's as if he knew that they knew they had lost a battle.
And that was as good a curveball as he can throw. You saw it break straight down, the first big one that he's thrown, and he's got himself a 1 ball, 2 strike count. He's setting Hatcher up for a strikeout, who's a tough man to get that way.
And he lifts a high foul off third. Carney Lansford is there. And now you know why Bob Welsh was 13-4 at home this year. At the end of 2.5, no score. I mean, we have it all. Beautiful views, magnificent weather, a World Series, and the fleet's in.
It's all here.
Glenn Hubbard, followed by Ron Hasse, and then Walt Weiss. Bottom of the third, no score. Just in case you might have just turned on the dial, John Tudor had a lead with a sore elbow with 1 out in the second inning. Tim Leary got the next 2 outs to end it, and now he's set sailed on his own here in the third. 2-0.
Now we'll see, Vin, if we're going to make him take it or will they let him hit 2-0. Biggest change in baseball is that usually they let him hit. It never used to be that way.
In there. One thing you might watch as the ball game progresses with Leary is to watch Scioscia in this kind of a shot. Let's say from that center field camera shot. He'll catch Scioscia raising his arm, telling Leary to get his arm up. You see him do that. Leary's falling out of the proper mechanics, out of the groove. 2-2.
And with that center field shot, you get a pretty good view of Scioscia watching guys to see if they're cheating, taking a peek, because he doesn't want to move too soon to spot it on that outside corner, and he'll be kind of looking up at him like he is right there, and he'll move at the last minute. There he goes.
Now, I was looking back at Tim Leary's career, somewhat fitting that he should follow John Tudor. He missed all of 1982. He had an irritated radial nerve in the shoulder. 1981, he missed half the year with a muscle strain in his right elbow, and now he's relieving the injured Tudor.
Did you see him check Hubbard's eyes?
3-2. A drive to left and deep. Back goes Hatcher to the track. It's off the wall. He played it into a 330-foot single. Shades of Fenway Park.
Yes, sir. I tell you, he's played some handball in Mesa. Hatcher just played that ball right off that wall perfectly, and there was nothing Hubbard could do. You don't want to get thrown out at second base starting off the inning. Now, Mickey knows he's going to be against the wall, looking to position himself, and he comes up throwing, and that keeps a double play in order, and that's the sign of the good ball club. Stay away from the double play when you have the bat and keep it in order on defense, and that's what Hatcher did.
Number 24,
Now we have another interesting part of the John Tudor injury. Remember, we told you when Tudor started, Tony La Russa started both catchers, Terry Steinbach as the DH and Ron Hasse behind the plate. And of course, Hasse was going up against a left-hander, Tudor. But now he's going against a right-hander, and he does well against righties. One ball, no strikes.
Hasse is a double play man if you can get the ground ball. But he's also a pull hitter, and he's got that gap between first and second. There you see it. Likes that low fastball. Let him try to pull it. If he pulls it, you'll get the ground ball to the second baseman.
Hubbard, by the way, stole only one base during the year. You can bet they want to get something started here in the third inning.
So Socia constantly checking with that bench. He's trying to get some help as we're looking at La Russa. He wants some help on the pitch out. Socia does.
One ball, no strikes to Ron Hasse. Hubbard's going, hit and run, and taken at the plate, and hesitated by Socia, and on the way to third goes Hubbard. Somebody failed to cover second base. There were two signs missed there, at the plate and on the infield.
It was a definite hit and run play. Look at Hubbard looking back. Now Socia's ready to throw. Nobody's covering. Now they're both running over there, and then Griffith does get there. I'm not so sure Griffin wasn't there, Vin. I don't know.
But he wasn't there earlier, so that Socia double clutched. So Hasse takes a strike, then Socia double clutched and throws in the dirt. And you have a runner at third, nobody out.
He was screened by Hasse, the left-hand batter. I wonder if he didn't think Hubbard was going.
Ball two.
And then saw him break and said, hey, he's gone, and then now he goes to throw that ball. Sachs tried to help out by faking that he had the ball, but he was nowhere near it. It just went right into center field.
The A's looking for a break to get started here at home, and they've gotten a big one. So a runner 90 feet away and nobody out.
You won't know until you ask Socia, but with the left-hand hitter up there, the shortstop's going to be covered. You're going to see him break. And when he double pumped, he lost the play and threw it right into the ground.
Another thing I believe sincerely, and it was all part of Tony La Russa's game plan, and that was to play a smaller game, at least in the early going. Fouled away. In other words, they go down to Los Angeles with the reputation of being the muscle men. Canseco hits a grand slam home run, and then everybody in the ball club wants to hit him out in the parking lot. Now they come home down 2, and I think Tony wanted to play hit and run right away just to try and keep them within themselves, and he got himself a big break along with it. 3-2 to Hasse. The infield is back. Nobody out. No score in the third. Fouled away.
I asked him if he thought that some of his guys, I asked La Russa that is, if he thought some of his guys were going a little home run crazy down there, and after Canseco hit the ball, he said just a couple of the guys pulled off the ball. He said, but you know, you don't win games with home runs. You win with a lot of hits, and trying to make something happen.
Hubbard, a line drive single, steals second, winds up at third on the overthrow. 3-2 to Ron Hasse. And there's a base hit to left field. And the drought is over for Oakland.
And you remember that scouting report said a dead low ball pull hitter who got a high fastball, and with good hitting, he went the opposite way. If he tries to pull this, it's a ground ball. He went the opposite way, and he drives into a big run.
Isn't it something? They gambled with Hasse knowing he couldn't hit a left-hander, and the left-hander is injured, and he comes up with a chance to break the string of scoreless innings. Fate is really something. And here now is Walt Weiss, a switch hitter. Ball one.
Well, if LaRusse is going to play that small game, as you call it, Vin, there's that report. Look at that. Dead pull hitter likes low fastball. Keep fastball away. Let him try to pull it. He didn't try to pull it. He beat the report. He beat the pitcher. If you're going to play that small game, this would be another combination you could do it with.
Weiss, a high ball hitter. And Hasse normally, and we put quotes around that word normally, not someone to consider as a threat on the base paths. Hasse did have 2 stolen bases. They were probably busted plays.
Shocks in him.
1 ball, no strike.
I'd be willing to bet his baseball coach, Jerry Kindle, who wouldn't give him a steal.
And you see,
hit and run.
A balk is called on Leary because they were afraid of the hit and run.
Yes, sir.
And he wanted to get the ball out to Soshan. The pitch out in such a hurry, he failed to come to a stop, a discernible stop.
And now Lefebvre, watch him now. He puts the pitch out play on, and that play is the one that's least practiced, and it's the most butchered play, I think, right next to the rundown play. Pitchers will try to get it to you too fast. They'll throw it too hard. They'll throw it too wild. And in this particular case, he balks. Lefebvre's talking to Weiss, and you know what he's telling him? Hey, you got to get him over now. If nothing else, get that ground ball to the right side.
Alfredo Griffin trying to bird dog Hasse and take a step away from him. Weiss trying to get something to move him over. And the count, 2 balls and no strikes. It all started on what appeared to be a busted hit and run play. With Hubbard going, Hasse took a strike. Sosha double clutched and threw it into center field. Then a base hit and a balk. And for Oakland, they have to figure maybe the fortunes have finally turned around. 2-0. Popped in the air, foul. Digging for it is Alfredo. He's the middleman. It will be Griffin. Fine play by the shortstop. And when you think about it, he's the only one of the 3 who knew the neighborhood.
But also there were 3 guys chasing it, and I say that because they know there's a lot of room, as we talked about before the game. They had plenty of room down there, and look at them all go after it.
What was that great song from the Music Man? You got to know the territory.
He knows it, and if they were all there, that's a big out because he has to get a base with that out. And you see Weiss watching it, and disappointment sets in.
Now, Luis Polonia is going to come up and bat for Tony Phillips. So Polonia will be the batter. Phillips, a switch hitter, hit 160 left-handed. Polonia, who at once upon a time was a switch hitter, and LaRusse made him give it up, Polonia hit 290 against right-hand pitching. So consequently, the move.
Boy, has he got some pine tar on that bat? You almost want to check it. Look at it.
Yeah, it has really worked its way up. Little roller, Hamilton fake, but here comes Griffin, and just got him. Whoa, does Polonia fly down the line? Taking third, Ron Hasse.
And look where Griffin ended up. He ended up way on the first base side of that mound. He knew Polonia could run. You talk about knowing the territory. He knew exactly who was hitting. Polonia hits it off the handle. See, it fooled Hamilton. Now look at Griffin. He keeps coming. The momentum carries him, and I tell you, it was close.
Have we not seen some shortstop with Walt Weiss and Alfredo Griffin?
Oh, we have really seen some great plays. Great plays.
And look how close it was at first with Polonia motoring down the line. All right, 2 out. Hasse is now at third, and Dave Henderson trying to pick him up. 1-0 A's, bottom of the third. Henderson grounded out in the first inning. Many of the A's took extra hitting tonight on the sidelines, not in the regular hitting cage and batter's box. Bob Watson held some lessons on hitting with just one screen, and he would feed the ball underhanded, and they'd drive the ball into the screen. And Henderson, one of about 6. Ball 1.
They were all bearing down on hitting off the tee, hitting down on the ball, and in the batter's box during batting practice, there you see Bob Watson. Lefebvre was thrown to McGuire from about 40 feet from behind the screen. He calls it his first movement drill. It's a combination of Ted Williams and Walt Winiak, who worked with so many over at the Red Sox.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Got him. So Henderson strikes out. 1 run, 2 hits, a stolen base, an error, and a balk, and a runner left at third.
Here's that play again. I think the Socia is screened, and he grabs and he pumps once. Now he sees him go. He throws, and he really throws almost a sinker. That's Griffin. He can't get it. And as I said before, Sachs is behind the play, and he fakes it like he had it. Now, Socia is not happy, and I don't blame him. I really think that he didn't get any help from the bench where they hollered, "There he goes, there he goes." And when you get screened like that, because Hubbard, as you pointed out, Ben, is not a guy who's going to run.
And it was immediate hit and run because he was looking back at the hitter, only to see Hasse take a strike. So that turned out to be a very big play. Meanwhile, Tommy Lasorda talking to Bruce Fremming, and we're looking. Louis Polonia is in left field. Ron Hasse went out to the mound to talk to Bob Welch, and there's no reason for a delay except they're just taking some time.
Right there is when he sees him, the double pump, and he's already committed himself, and there's Griffin waiting, and it just sinks. Now watch Sachs behind the play, hustling. Now he acts like he's got it, and he's going to do whatever he can, but of course Hubbard doesn't buy the act.
Remaining in the ballgame for playing left field, number 22, Luis.
The Dodgers now coming up, and Danny Heap will come up off the bench to bat for Mike Marshall. Now it could be, do you remember the other night at Dodger Stadium, the Dodgers took Marshall out of the game late in the game. Jose Gonzalez finished, and there was some wonder at the time, wait a minute, Gonzalez doesn't finish up for Marshall, he finishes up usually for Gibson. And people wondered, did Marshall's back go out on him? And to see Danny Heap come up and bat for Marshall in the 4th inning with the A's leading 1-0, I've got to believe there's something wrong with Mike Marshall's back.
Boy, with Tudor and Gibson and now Marshall, Tommy's not going to have enough players for the team picture.
How did that sign go again? Every 24 hours, the world turns over on a guy who was sitting on top of it. And here's Heap. Strike.
And Welsh usually gets stronger. The opponents hit 291 in the first 3 innings. And from the 4th and 9th inning, only 230. So here we are in the 4th inning.
Danny Heap has been a poor, and I use that word advisedly, but he's been a poor pinch hitter all year. Admittedly, pinch hitting about as tough as a role to fill on any ball club. No balls, 2 strikes.
You notice now when he works on the rubber, it's kind of a casual flick, like it's just something to do. And when the game just started, I mean, he was really digging at it.
Yeah, he has really settled in. And when he settles in, well, he has a half a dozen strikeouts in 3 innings and a 2-2 count on Danny Heap. Heap, Shelby, and Mike Davis in that order. Fouled away. It appears, too, you know, when you look at Bobby Welch, I always had that feeling, and I see it is not the Dodger hat. It looked to me, he was always wearing his father's hat. It was bigger, and it's pulled down almost over the eyebrows, with the bill seems to be longer than the others. 2-2.
He and Hubbard both kind of turn that bill like it's almost, they want to give you a tunnel effect. Marshall, by the way, the official, well, there you see it. Marshall is in with the trainer right now, so they're working on him.
3-2. Lifted foul off third. Carney Lansford in pursuit. No play.
Now, Ben, there's a ball. They didn't catch it, sure, but that's a ball that any other ballpark could be in the stands.
Brings up an interesting point. The only other ballpark I ever saw with so much foul territory, maybe even a little more than here, was in Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. And, of course, they changed that. I'm sure the hitters objected. And tonight before the game, a couple of the Oakland A's were talking about it. And they were talking about a home run that Jose Canseco hit at Fenway Park. And they said that on a pitch to Canseco in Fenway, he hit a foul ball that would have, well, it wound up foul and in the seats, maybe 2 rows back. It would have been an easy out here. He hit the next pitch for a home run. So it changes the game dramatically.
Oh, I think playing in this park, just foul balls that are caught got to cost you 3-4 points on your average.
And for Danny Heap, the struggle continues.
And keep in mind, he's doing it with the fastball, but he has thrown curveballs. He threw a beauty to Danny Heap, just one. He's got a good split finger, but he's established all his pitches now.
Another thing for Bob Welch as we watch him punch out Danny Heap, he has now rung up 7, and his high in strikeouts for the year is 8. He has as many as 12 in his career, so he can really set you on your ear. Ball 1. Shelby has been a strikeout hitter. John struck out in the second inning. It's 1-0 A's, top of the 4th. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Really riding that fastball hard.
The A's have another little boost from history. They've won 5 straight World Series games here. So they had been shut out. You figured law of average, they were finally going to score. They want to keep that wheel going. And one other rather interesting note. You realize that the last 12 straight victories in the World Series have been by the home team. And it isn't home court advantage because that really just started when they changed the rule. DH in the American League Park, pitchers hit in the National League Park. And that's probably the biggest single reason why we have that string of home victories. Home, sweet home. And don't you feel confident for Tony La Russa and the rest of his crew that they're so glad to be here. 3-2. That's that spot they've been pitching Shelby all through the series, up and away, left-handed.
Vin, Elliott Calv has just given me, I think, a very interesting statistic. 50% of the Dodger home runs are on the bench.
There's ball 4.
Dodgers have 99 home runs, Gibson 25, and Marshall 40.
And Gibson may be on the bench, and Marshall, I believe, is in the dressing room.
Designated hitter.
Marshall 20, Gibson 25. That's a lot of power.
There's Gibson. You can see him sitting there alongside Steve Sachs and Mike Sharperson. 1-0 A's, top of the 4th inning. 1 out. Shelby, pretty good runner at first. Mike Davis at the plate. Shelby started to go and then felt that he didn't have a good jump. I mean, that was better than a fake. 1 ball, no strikes. Shelby during the regular year stole 16 out of 21. There he goes. The pitch is high. The throw. He's in there.
Welch's delivery to the plate is not as quick as it is to first base. Hasse got rid of that ball in good shape, but I tell you, he had a pretty good jump on Bob Welch. Watch him now. See how many steps he takes while he's got the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and it's a straight steal. Now he looks back for some reason to see what happened. That may have cost him. Not so sure it didn't.
I know one thing. He was going on the first pitch.
Yes, he was.
That was no fake. 2-0 the count. And Mike Davis now 3-0.
Why would he look back? Wasn't a hit-and-run play.
So Mike Davis, who's had some big days and nights here at the Oakland Coliseum, up here with the count 3-0. Welch off the rubber. 1-0 A's. Dodgers trying to get Shelby home and tie it up. Oh, they let him swing 3-0. You know, an interesting thing, and I think the other night when Gibson had that dramatic home run, I really do believe that teams pitch from memory. And they weren't pitching to Mike Davis, the Dodger, who hit 2 home runs all year. They were pitching to a former teammate who had hit about 60 here.
Yeah, but letting him hit 3-0, that's managing from memory.
Fouled away, 3-2.
You know, the interesting thing, too, on Shelby stealing, Steve Boros, along with Jerry Stevenson and Mel Didier, Dodger scouts, Boros was the first guy, I remember, with the stopwatch. There he took the look, as you see it. It was Boros who had the stopwatch when he was at first base to see what to deliver, the release time on the pitcher, the release time on the catcher, and they got Wells quick to first and slow to home.
3-2, and he's off the rubber. Mike Davis has struggled all year, hitting less than 200, and that's less for a guy getting $1 million.
Keep in mind his average, and he was allowed to hit 3-0. It used to be that the big guys who got the room by themselves only hit 3-0 and had the nice accommodations.
What was that number we were talking about before? He had 86 home runs and 40 of them here. So 3-2 to Mike Davis. Mike Scioscia on deck. 1 out, 4th inning. A's 1, Dodgers nothing. Shelby the tying run at second. And that's a fly ball to left field. Polonia moving over as the ball carries a bit to make the catch. Shelby tagging, going to third, and he's there. So Mike Davis, a fly ball deep enough to advance Shelby to third, so the tying run is 90 feet away. And once again, the not only teammates, but battery and good buddies go head to head.
Here comes Dave Duncan out to talk to him. Mike must, he didn't wear that special shoe that he's got on tonight. He didn't wear it in L.A., man, but I see that heel must be giving him trouble again because he's got the high top going. Scioscia's had a problem with it. Duncan wants to make sure they're together and remind him what he threw the last time. He threw a curveball for a strike, then a high fastball, and Scioscia hit it in the center field. There's that high top that's cut out.
And, of course, I'm sure you have the left-hand veteran hitter in Mike Scioscia, who knows Welsh very well, followed by a rookie right-hand batter, Jeff Hamilton, on deck. So with a runner at third, he might not get too much to hit. Nope. 1 ball, no strikes.
He's not going to give in to him. If he's going to get beat, it's going to be a pitch that he wants him to hit. La Russa, who constantly makes notes.
Ball and 1 strike. The tying run 90 feet away, 1-0 Oakland in the 4th inning. In case you're wondering, it's part of the story. Welsh had only 3 wild pitches during the year. He's basically high fastballs. Ball 2. They don't want much of him.
That's the 26th pitch this inning, so it's been a pretty long inning for him.
2-1 to Scioscia. 2 out. Shelby at third. Time.
Shook him off, and now Mike is going to play a little mind game with him. Yes. He was ready to pitch after getting all set up.
Lasorda and company trying to sweat a run home as he mutters to Rick Dempsey. They are really pitching around him. They don't want to give him a strike. 3-1 to count, but Scioscia's a contact hitter, and if it's close enough to the plate, he might very well give it a nudge. You have Jeff Hamilton on deck.
Well, he'd have to guess because the 3 pitches were all fastballs way outside.
3-2.
Boy, I tell you, he laid it right on that outside corner. And that's good hitting, though, by Scioscia. He knows he's got to knock that run in, and he's going to, if he has to widen that zone, if he gets the base on balls, say, well, he drew a walk, but he knows what he has to do. He's up there to knock the run in.
So Tony La Russa sweating it out in one corner, Lasorda in the other, and meanwhile, Bob Welsh and Mike Scioscia are hooked up, with the A's leading 1-0 and John Shelby at third. 2 out. And it got him, and it turned him around as well.
It was the only one he came inside. He pitch outside except that one.
And that's 8 strikeouts for Bob Welch, equaling his high of the year, and we're only in the 4th inning. Danny Heap, who batted for Mike Marshall, stays in the game in left field. Hatcher, who started in left field for Kirk Gibson, moves over to right field. And Tim Leary now will work his next inning. Bottom of the 4th inning. He'll be pitching, and it is quite a contrast. If you look at Oakland, you have Dave Henderson, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, and the Dodgers have Mickey Hatcher, Danny Heap, and John Shelby in the muscle area. Now that is heavyweights and lightweights. Ball 1. Canseco flied to left in the 1st inning.
It's almost like in spring training, the sort of said, well, the stars don't have to make the long trip.
In there.
Oh, if Canseco would bunt, I think Tommy would be sure he got to the park on time.
Pray that he would.
Yes, you want to bunt, Jose? Fine. Go ahead.
LaRussa trying to get his first one. It's 1-0 Oakland, 4th inning. Fly ball into right center. Hatcher coming in a hurry. Dives and backhanded it.
Tell you, you gotta love that guy if you're a baseball fan. He is the ultimate blowout patch. Wherever they play him, he gives you all he's got. Not too beautiful, but he gets the job done.
He's every man out there. He's playing for you and me and everybody else. Anybody who ever dreamed of playing in the big leagues, you sum it up with Mickey Hatcher.
Look at that. He's got the ball in the glove, and that's all that counts.
And now big Mark McGuire will be coming up with 1 out in the 4th inning. Still 1-0 Oakland. Ball 1. Mark was the last batter John Tudor faced. Tudor struck him out and had to come out of the game. 1 ball, no strikes. The only run in the 3rd inning. Hubbard singled off the left field wall. Appeared to be a broken hit and run play. Hubbard stole second, took third on Sosa's overthrow, and Ron Hasse went the other way to left field for a base hit to pick him up.
Here's where McGuire is dangerous, 2-0.
Two balls and 1 strike to count.
Now, we gave you a scouting report in Los Angeles. That was a good high fastball, and they try to climb the ladder with him, go just a little bit higher if they're going to throw the fastball.
Well, he tried and missed. He wouldn't bite. 3-1 to count. On deck, Terry Steinbach. 1 run, 2 hits for Oakland. No runs, 2 hits, and 1 big error for the Dodgers. However, since Hasse got the base hit, the run is earned. And he walked. Ball 4.
Take this bat. Just got his bat.
Oh, McGuire takes the inside pitch that hits the bat, and he's called back.
Sosa really calls it. Watch Sosa. Watch Sosa's reaction. McGuire didn't think so. Usually you feel it. I don't know.
So 3-2 to Mark. Out of the way. 330 down the lines here in the Coliseum. 375 up the alleys, 400 to center. It has cooled off considerably. It is not really what you would call a warm evening. Still comfortable, but not warm. And immediately you start to figure that area about hitting home runs here at the Coliseum between the logos and the foul poles. Out of the way. I think Jose Canseco figures he's lost at least 12 home runs this year here in the Coliseum.
I like Sandy Alderson's answer, too. He said, I agree with you, so instead of giving him more money, we'll move the fences in.
3-2. Fastball hit to dead center. Back goes Shelby on the track. At the wall, he's got it. And that's exactly what they talk about here. When it cools off, it's more like Grand Canyon. If he pulls that ball, it's in the seats. Here, at night, when it's cool, warning track power. Last year, he hit 21 home runs here. This year, a dozen.
Leary challenged him, and he hit it to the farthest part of the ballpark, and I think most parks have been out of here.
That's one reason now, in retrospect, why you can understand Oakland hit so many home runs on the road. Base hit to right, kicked by Hatcher, and so going into second base. And that'll bring up Carney Lansford. So Terry Steinbach goes the other way with a double to right. Or will it be 1-1? It looked like Hatcher should have come up with it.
I think it'll be 1-1. He was way over in right center field. Now he's got a beat on the ball. He should come up with it, but he just butchers it. I think it's 1-1. It is.
And just like every man, he commits an error.
Here's that catch. And usually on a catch, when you land, sometimes you jar loose, but Mickey knows how to fall and roll, comes up with that one, but gets burned on the next one.
Carney Lansford grounded to short in the second inning. Carney 0 for 1. And that's sliced down the right field line. It's Hatcher's inning. And he hatches an egg here in the fourth inning. No runs. One hit, a man left, and it's still 1-0 Oakland. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
The 1988 World Series is brought to you by Nissan, inviting you to test drive the new 240 SX.
We go to the fifth inning here at the Oakland Coliseum with the Athletics leading the Dodgers 1-0. Bob Welsh preparing to pitch in the fifth inning, and I'm sure there is some concern in the Oakland dugout. You can see in the fourth inning he made 29 pitches after breezing in the third inning. So suddenly 75 pitches for 4. That gets him roughly, 150 for 8, and it gets you into the ninth where you about 168 pitches. That's a lot. And line drive, base hit to center.
What it does is get you Eckersley in the ninth.
By the way, do you have something to say to
yes,
the Michael Hatcher Chowder Society?
It was not an error. It was a two-base hit all the way.
So give Hatcher no hand and a double for Terry Steinbach. And here's Alfredo. Struck out in the second inning.
This would be the time where you try to beat out the bunt.
And Lansford well in on the grass looking bunt. He shows it, lays it down. Welch fields, throws, got him. It will be ruled a sacrifice, but Alfredo would have loved to have squeezed a little more out of it, and Hamilton the tying run at second base. So the Dodgers had Socia at second in the second inning. They had Shelby at third in the fourth. Now they have Hamilton at second. See where he was running? He should have called him out anyway.
I was going to say, that's a great shot. Umpires will love that shot because he was running outside the line.
So Hamilton at second with 1 out. Steve Sachs the batter. Polonia, Henderson, and Canseco are the outfielders. And we bring that up because Hamilton does not have good running speed, and he's carrying the tying run at second base. And watch now. Remember, Sachs was trying to play some games in the first inning. We'll see if he tries to get in and out of the box on Welsh here. On deck, Stubbs. Right.
You make a point when Griffin was running down and see where he was running. If they call him out for interference, there he is. Runner Hamilton's got to go back to first.
Sure.
So it's a big play.
No balls and 1 strike, the count. Oral Hershiser standing behind Lasorda. Chopper wide to third. Short hop nicely by Lansford to get him. And keeps Hamilton at second base. Fine play by Carney Lansford.
And that's why they call him the perfect professional. The ball is hit to his left. Now watch him get it on a short hop. That's not an easy play. Tough play. Takes a quick look at second base and makes it an easy play. The short hop is the toughest play, I think, for the infielder because it's never a true hop. Tell you, he made it all the way. Looked the runner back and then got his man.
2 down. Hamilton at second. Stubbs drives one into right center. That's up the alley. It'll go to the 375 mark. Stubbs into second base with a double, and the game all tied up 1-1. And did he drill that? In fact, sitting up here, when the ball was hit, it was leaving the infield, and Canseco had not moved. And it wasn't that he didn't get a good jump on the ball. It was hit that hard. In other words, it was hit like Canseco hits him.
It was a fastball. He got it up, and Stubbs is ready for it. Canseco, there you see him go into the picture, but he really plugs the gap right now.
Mickey Hatcher at the plate, fouling it away. Hatcher struck out and fouled out. A 1-1 tie in the 5th inning. And Tony La Russa now wants to talk to Bruce Fleming.
Must be that play, maybe.
Wouldn't
at
that be
first
something
base. Wouldn't
if
that be something he's complaining now about?
Somebody watched that video replay and saw that Griffin was running inside the line, and therefore Hamilton should have been back at first, and
cost him a run.
He found out a little too late.
That could be because Fleming looks like he's just upset about it.
Now, he's not allowed to have a television camera in the dugout, nor can anybody help him. Here's the play on the bunt. He's okay there, but now watch.
There's where he gets out of it. He's got to have 1 foot in that 45-foot line right there, and once, if he doesn't have 1 foot in there, now he's in trouble. Cost him a run.
1 ball and 1 strike to count to Mickey Hatcher. For Tony La Russa, an attorney, a lawyer, he knows all about after the fact. 2-1, and Bob Welch almost threw that away. Ball 3 on deck is the left-hand hitting Danny Heap, who batted for Marshall. We still haven't heard anything else, but I have to assume that it's Marshall's lower back. He has what they call a mechanical strain, and it could be that it popped up again. Stubbs at second, 2 out, 5th inning, 1-1 tie. And that's hit right at Welch. Big play by Bob on a bullet right back at him. 1 run, 2 hits, a man left. We're tied at 1. Bob Welch handling that comeback bullet off the bat of Mickey Hatcher stays even in the game. And we go to the bottom of the 5th in a 1-1 tie. Glenn Hubbard to start it off. 1 ball, no strikes. Hubbard severely beamed, okay, and he has the courage to come back and play. You really have to salute him.
If that mound looks high to you, both this one and Dodger Stadium high mounds, but they measure them. I asked about it, and they said, hey, they're okay.
Storm Davis said that the mound at Dodger Stadium, he shrugged, he said it's exactly the same as the one at home.
Well, Mark Rasm is the fellow who builds the mound here, and it looked high from first and third base, but they come out and check it along with the lighting, and it's the specifications.
In there, 2-1. So Glenn Hubbard, born in the Hahn Air Force Base in West Germany, 31-year-old battler who suffered multiple fractures around his left eye when he was hit by a pitch in spring training in March, and here he is. A shot to third, a one-hopper to Hamilton. 1 away. Friends, a gentle reminder, we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ballgame. Now Ron Hasse, who finally broke the drought. Single to left to drive in a run coming up. In the Dodger bullpen, Alejandro Pena begins to loosen out. Leary, remember, came in with 1 out in the 2nd inning. So Tim has worked 3 innings, and this might be his last bit of work.
And speaking of mounds, the mounds in the bullpen should be the same as the mound that's in the playing field.
They're telling Rene Latchman to get in the coach's box. Rene gestures to Fleming like, big deal. That's a 20-foot long coach's box, but as I said, it looks so much bigger to me because it's all grass.
I think there's a little bit of needling going on here, and as if to say, La Russa, you want to stick by your letter of the law? We'll do it too.
1 ball and no strikes.
I mean, making the first base coach get in the box, man. What is that like?
Well, it's like ordering the Dodger bat boy and ball boy that he was to shape up. A lot of good-natured rivalry here for the moment, anyway. Ball 2.
Fella in his suit, by the way, excuse me, Vin, is George Pfister, a former Brooklyn Dodger. George now working out in the commissioner's office. He's one of the watchdogs, let's put it that way, during the World Series. Another catcher.
High foul off third. Hamilton coming over. But this one will go well back in amongst the customers. I guess around 49,000. That's the capacity here tonight. And as you would like to see, they are certainly as important to the fuss and feathers like Christmas ornaments. It was great to see Reggie Jackson before the game.
Oh, yeah.
Raleigh Fingers to come by, and nice to see him again. Great names in Oakland history. 2 balls and 1 strike for Ron Hasse. One thing about Fingers, he should still go on the stage and play the part of Simon Legree.
Yeah, with that mustache.
Yeah.
Isn't that great, huh?
If ever anybody looked like the guy who threw the widow and the baby out into the snow, it was Raleigh Fingers.
Yeah, but then when he talks, he blows the whole image.
Right.
He's such a nice guy.
2 balls and 2 strikes, and the chant as if the crowd says, hey, we're tired of just sitting around. Beat L.A. is the chant. 2-2 to Hasse. 1 out in the 5th inning, 1-1 tie. On the hand, so he came in. When you look at Ron Hasse's stance, he is open and he's off the plate. If you're the catcher, what does that tell you?
He's looking for the ball inside, but you keep pitching him outside. As our scouting report said, he's a dead pull hitter, a low ball hitter. You stay outside, but you got to keep him honest by jamming him. You can still jam him even though he's open.
There are a lot of people, I'm sure, who wonder about open and closed. It depends on where the front foot of the hitter is. If you have an open stance in Hasse's case, his right foot would be closer to the first base foul line than his left, so you can almost see his belt buckle. See how he's opened up? If that foot was closer to home plate, then he'd have a closed stance. No big deal, but there's ball 4. The Dodgers, no doubt, worrying about Leary running out, as La Russa might be counting the pitches for Welsh. Just by seeing Pena in the Dodger bullpen, you know Lasorda is worrying about squeezing out 1 more inning out of Leary. And the batter is Walt Weiss. Leary, during the regular year, you have to add another 100 innings. Ball 1. So Leary worked 228 innings. Add another 100. That gives you 328 innings. And he's been suspect ever since he got into September that his needle was on empty. And Peranowski's going out there to check the fuel tank right now. He's made 54 pitches, matching his numbers. And there's Alejandro.
Just watching him pitch off that mound, there were ball clubs, I know when I played, Vin, that would play games with that bullpen mound, make it a little bit flatter, so when you got out in the game, it was just like foreign territory.
I'm sure of that. Want to know the count to Walt Weiss. He's struggling now, 2-0.
Weiss wants to see what Lefevre got from La Russa. You would think he'd be taken and let Leary struggle a little bit more, but this day and age, you never can be sure.
Weiss fouled out to Alfredo Griffin in the 3rd inning. shot speared by Leary over to Stubbs. Double play. Can you believe that bullet? So Welch made a great play on Hatcher, and now Leary doubles him. And at the end of 5, 1-1.
Pitchers start out 60 feet 6 inches from home plate, but with the follow through, they're about 55 feet. Now look at Leary, pretty good position. That ball was well hit, makes the play, and it's a double play.
Here's Danny Heap batting from Mike Marshall. A fly ball into left center. Polonia on the run, dives, can't get it. It goes to the wall. Heap into second base, holding with a double. And if you just tuned in, you say, how come Heap is playing? Mike Marshall on what has turned out to be somewhat of a deceptive day here in Oakland. It was very warm in the 80s, and then once the game started, it cooled off considerably, and Marshall's back stiffened up. The report from the Dodger clubhouse is he should be available to play tomorrow.
There was a pretty good shot of Polonia trying to make the play. If he's got that glove, if he's a right-handed thrower, he's got a better chance to make that play. So just that little difference in where the glove was, really a two-base hit. And that was one of the few curveballs that Welch has thrown.
I'm not familiar with the A's that much. Remember, they started Tony Phillips, and Tony La Russa had said before the game, Phillips really helps my defense in left field, but then he took Phillips out for Polonia.
He's looking for runs, right?
But I'm not saying Phillips could have caught that either. I wouldn't know. Fisted foul out of play, and the count 1-1 to John Shelby. Shelby struck out and walked.
Once again, Ben, we're in that spot here. You're in the 6th inning. Shelby's got to get the man over to third base. There's just no other way. He cannot just make the out. You got to pick up the base.
You might say, if you're sitting home, well, why wait for him to pull the ball? Just have him bunt. Well, the answer to that question is, in the entire year, Lasorda had Shelby bunt once. Uno. Ground ball to the hole. Heap was going back towards second, so they'll stop him at third. And going to second on a bad throw by Polonia. Oh, what a bad play. He not only missed the cutoff man, he missed everybody to allow Shelby to go to second. Tough play.
He threw it to the wrong base. There was no reason for him to throw it to the plate. He threw it to home plate, and Heap was going to stop at third. And I just wonder on that play, Weiss looked like running Heap back to second was a bit out of position as Welch pitched. Now this throw here, you don't do this in American Legion. I mean, that's not even close. And you see Welch cuts it off almost in disgust, because what happens, scoring position, yes, but you get away from that double play.
It's amazing how Tony La Russa tailored his ball club tonight to go against left-hander John Tudor as Dave Duncan goes out. And then when Tudor gets hurt, it's the A's who seem to come up short.
Right now, Henderson is out talking to Polonia, as you see, and Polonia trying to explain what he did. He came within an eyelash of catching the ball that was hit by Danny Heap, but this throw here is just inexcusable.
It was not only a bad throw, but it was a poor throw. There was no velocity. He just threw a big rainbow curveball to home plate, which of course is embarrassing at any time, but especially in the World Series. So now on maybe a ball I don't know that Phillips would have caught, Polonia couldn't. It went for a double, a base hit and a bad throw, second and third, nobody out, and here's Mike Davis. Ball one.
Infield has to shorten up at first and third, and they're halfway at second and short.
Remember, Davis fly deep enough to left field in the 4th inning to get Shelby from second to third. Now he has a chance to get some runs. Strike. 1-1.
Welch has to be thinking only one thing. He's got to get the strikeout right here.
Danny Heap down the line from third. John Shelby from second. Nobody out. 6th inning. A 1-1 tie. 2-1. Down in the bullpen, the left-hander Cadaret and the right-hander Nelson. Welch is around. We're not counting them. They are in the truck, but he should be over the 100 pitch mark now. 2 balls, 1 strike. Ball 3. So with first base open, he has fallen behind. Davis, who has power, and they might very well, this is a guess, but they might give him the green light if he gets a pitch in an area where he feels he can drive it.
He hit 3-0, remember the last time,
Right.
so he's going to have the green light, no doubt about it.
Question of being a selective hitter. He's fouling it away. And on deck, Mike Scioscia.
I would think, Vin, if he could get the strikeout, they'd walk Scioscia to set up the double play with Hamilton. Because if he walks him, you got this contact hitter up there and also a guy that sort of likes to squeeze with. So this is a big pitch coming up for Welch right here.
3-2. The count to Mike Davis in a 1-1 tie in the 6th. And he has walked him to load the bases. That's the 3rd walk. Remember, he has struck out 8. Tony has had Dave Duncan go out to the mound once. So Welch is on the ropes.
You can see what that throw by Polonia did. It really set up this whole inning because you lost that double play chance. And they're talking about everything because, as we said, here you got the bases loaded. Guy doesn't strike out, but Lasorda, he'll try to scratch out a run any way he can.
Interesting here, too, and that's going to be all for Bob Welch. So we were going to talk about a high ball pitcher and a low ball hitter, but cancel it all. And by the way, he made 96 pitches. He never quite got to the 100. So it looks like they will bring in Cadaret to pitch to Mike Scioscia with the bases loaded, nobody out, in a 1-1 tie. What a spot for young Greg Cadaret. 26-year-old left-hander, bases loaded, nobody out. Scioscia, Hamilton, and Griffin due out. Strike, 0-1. In the brilliant relief work done by the Oakland bullpen in the League Championship Series against Boston, the only reliever to allow a run was Cadaret, and it was a home run by Rich Gedman in Game 2. And that's popped up on the hands. Big pitch to Jan Scioscia, and there's Lansford. 1 away.
He did it with a fastball, and that is the big out because now the double play can get you out of it.
Cadaret.
Here comes LaRussa again, man.
I was just going to say, might not be around to pitch to Hamilton. You have Gene Nelson, and they're going to go to Nelson because the word on Gene was he'll take the ball every day. Well, here he comes. So Cadaret does his job. He comes in and jams Scioscia, and once again, Gene Nelson trying to bail the A's out of a hot spot. Just in case you wondered about Kirk Gibson, he could appear as a pinch hitter, can't run very well, could not be the DH, and he's still in the dugout. The bases loaded, 1 out. And what LaRussa has done has not only gone percentages, left-hander against left-hander, right-hander against right-hander. Nelson is a good fielding pitcher. Cadaret is not.
He also has 2 double play pitches, Vin. He's got the good overhand curveball and the sinker. If he keeps that ball low, it sinks, and that's what they're looking for, the ground ball. It'll get him out of it.
This would be a gigantic turning point for the A's. Down as Bob Welch had to leave if Nelson can get them out of the jam. 0-1 to the rookie, Jeff Hamilton. And as a high chopper down to Lansford, he's going to go to the plate. 2 down, falling down is Shelby, but he crawled back to the bag at third.
And Hasse could not make the play because coming in, Heap really upended him. Now Lansford, the only play he can make is to the plate, and he's going to make sure he gives to Hasse. Now watch Heap. Heap comes in, and he upends Hasse right here, and that turns out to be a big play. He can't keep his balance because at third base, Shelby is falling down. Good play by Heap.
So now the A's, who are at the bottom of the barrel emotionally, have a chance to escape the jaws of a lion, and what a story. Who represents the 2-out threat but the ex-A Alfredo Griffin. Chopper up along first. They're out of the jam.
Henderson. Polonia gets off the hook, but Tony La Russa is going to give him a little bit of a clinic right here. You can bet me he's not talking about how your family's doing. And then Henderson comes over, and Tony will talk to him about taking charge on that throw. He really need a little bit of help, and Tony just continues talking to Henderson like, hey, you're going to have to take charge, and holler bases to him.
And now, wouldn't you know, the guy who got them into so much trouble, Luis Polonio, will now start it off in the bottom of the 6th inning. And if ever anybody got a call from the governor, a midnight reprieve, this is the kid. Also, if there is a dramatic turnabout in this World Series, people will point to the top of the 6th inning. Alejandro Pena, the Dodger pitcher. So Leary went 3 2/3 innings, allowed 1 run. Tudor went an inning and a third, and now it's Pena. Remember, Tony Phillips started the game and fouled out, and then Polonia grounded out. 1-1. Alejandro Pena was the winning pitcher in the game the Dodgers won on that home run by Kirk Gibson. 2-1. Tudor, Leary, and Pena. Welsh, Carteret, and Nelson. And it 1-1 in the bottom of the 6th.
You know, Scioscia's got a batting glove in his back pocket, and it's a good thing he's given the signal like he is, because when he gives the signal, we just moved him down. The fingers were hanging down, and with the center field shot, it looked like he was giving 5s.
You have to watch out with Polonia bunting at any time, but with 2 strikes, he's going to let it fly, and down he goes. So 1 out in the 6th inning. Lasorda furious over the big fish that got away. The bases loaded, nobody out. Scioscia fouled out to third. Hamilton hit into a force play at the plate, and Griffin grounded to first. Now here's Henderson. Grounded out, struck out. Dave 0 for 2.
There, look at the fingers. See what I'm talking about, Ben? The glove? It could be confusing.
I should say. A strike. I mean, if he puts 4 down and Pena looks in and says 7, what's 7?
Yeah, but if he doesn't see it right, it's a good thing he's giving the signs where he is, but you can see.
0-1.
I tell you, just watching the center field shot, he does have a full hand of 5.
Sure, and Pena's saying he wants me to come up with 4 new pitches now.
But see, look at him. Now, luckily, he's up on the side of his leg, so I don't think it'll confuse him, but some catchers do get a little bit lower.
Look at that.
Yeah, that could confuse you.
1 ball, 1 strike. In there, 1-2. We got a tough one. Dodgers 1 run, 6 hits, 1 error. Athletics 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors. Rick Honeycutt gets up in the Oakland bullpen. The Honeycutt begins to loosen up.
Tell you, both these bullpens have really done a job.
Slice foul off to the right, well out of play. 1-2. There's Rick Honeycutt getting ready to make his 2nd appearance in the series. Tonight's attendance, 49,316. That's the 11th largest crowd to see the A's play at the Coliseum. Largest a few more back in 1974 against the Dodgers. Well, what a stretch of success they had here from 1971 through 1975 as Jose Canseco waits his turn. Turned on it quickly enough.
Well, if you don't think he doesn't like a fastball, it gets up there. He turns on it right now. Henderson, a good fastball hitter.
There's only one way to hit that ball in on the hands hard, and that's to get those hips out of the way, which is why you get that expression, turning on it. Otherwise, you're going to be jammed if you hit it at all. And he really got him out of the way. 1-2. Off speed, fouled away. Henderson, a slightly unorthodox stance in the positioning of his hands, carries them a little lower than normal and closer to the body. He finished second on the A's with a .304 batting average, second to the man on deck.
You talk to Watson on this ball club, he really doesn't care what they do before. It's when they get into that zone. But you're right, he kind of turns that left shoulder in, and hands are close to the body.
Right there. 1-2. Fouled away.
Canseco's coming up next. Now he'll loop it.
But you know, I was talking to Bob Watson before the game because we were talking about bats and how much they weigh and the 40-ounce bat that he swung. And I said, did you ever hear about Babe Ruth? He said, I have a Babe Ruth bat. And I said, how much does it weigh? He said, 54 ounces. Made of hickory. Because in those days, not ash, but hickory.
54 ounces. That's a lot.
It's a forest.
You could string wires on and make some calls.
2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 away in the 6th inning in a 1-1 tie. Tony La Russa got out in front. Then saw perhaps the whole bubble burst that he would be shot down in Game 3. And Lasorda was riding on top of the clouds. And they wind up still even, 1-1. Fly ball into shallow center. Griffin trying to get under it. He's there.
Really fooled on that pitch. The bat ended up by the pitcher's mound because it was a curveball, and he just kind of threw the head of the bat at the ball, and Griffin makes a nice play on that.
So 2 down in the 6th inning, and Jose Canseco 0 for 2, flied to left, and then hit the fly ball in the 4th inning. Didn't hit the ball well at all, and that's when Mickey Hatcher made a dazzling catch. There goes the bat.
He just threw the bat at the ball, get that head into it, and hoping he'd foul it off. He's really opened up his stance, Vin, like he may be looking for a ball inside.
More than any other hitter, he will adjust. In the game that Gibson won with his home run, Pena pitched the 8th and 9th innings, and in the 9th inning of that game, he struck out Henderson and Canseco. In there, strike 2, 0-2.
Right on the outside corner. Not much you can do with that pitch.
So the kid from the Dominican Republic against the kid from Havana, Cuba. No balls and 2 strikes in a 1-1 tie.
Canseco talking about Hershiser said no pitcher he could remember threw that many fastballs to him and got away with it. Hershiser struck him out with fastballs.
Pena has maybe the 2nd best changeup in the whole league. He came back hard, 1-2. The fellow who had the best changeup in the National League, I think if you talk to the hitters, hurt his arm with Cincinnati, now trying to come back with the Dodgers next year, and that would be Mario Soto. 1-2 to Jose Canseco.
He stayed outside. Fastball, stayed outside. Curveball.
Just missed. Boy, that's a tough pitch to take. 3-2.
That's almost one of those pitches you take because you're completely fooled on it. Now, they can regroup right here, and sure, he's a good fastball here, and he can turn on as we look at Mark McGwire, the on-deck hitter, but he has not come inside at all.
That was his change. And he gambled. Yeah, he gambled on a 2-2 pitch off speed. Now what do? Do you challenge him 3-2?
I would not. I'd keep the ball out away from him.
3-2 to Jose Canseco. Got him looking. Fastball down the pipe. And at the end of 6, a 1-1 tie. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. 6th inning, and there was Tommy Lasorda dreaming of a plate full of pasta.
La Russa brought in Cataray. He gets Socia to pop it up. Fastball. So there's one out. Bases are still loaded, and Gene Nelson with the good sinker gets the ground ball from Hamilton. Lansford gets the force out at the plate. And again, fastball, McGuire, and they're out of it. Bases loaded, nobody out, and the Dodgers did not score.
And Lasorda is still hungry as we go to the 7th in a 1-1 tie. 1 ball and no strikes to Sachs, who singled to right in the 1st inning. Sachs has a hit in each of the first 3 games of the series. He was one of 4 Dodgers to hit in each of the first 2. 1 ball and 1 strike to Steve. Remember the war of nerves in the 1st inning when he singled to right, and Welsh was magnificent as he struck out the side in rebuttal.
It's quite an interesting stat. Leading off the inning, hitting on 222, and he's the leadoff man, so he leads off a lot of innings.
Carney Lansford right on the bag. 1-2 the count. You bring an extra glove into the infield when Gene Nelson pitches. He's a fine defensive man, which usually goes hand in foot for a guy who throws a pretty good sinker. 1-2. Lifted foul off first. Big McGuire. Plenty of room. Acres of room.
I tell you, it's a factor in this ballpark.
1 away in the 7th inning. And Franklin Stubbs struck out twice and then doubled hard up the alley in right center to drive in the only Dodger run.
Hit the first pitch, a fastball that Welch threw, and he drilled it.
The Dodgers have left 5 men in the last 3 innings. And thanks to the clutch pitching of Welsh, then Cataray and Nelson, the A's have been able to fight their way off the ropes. Meanwhile, the A's have not done much at all. They had 2 hits for a run in the 3rd inning, and they've had just 1 hit since the double by Terry Steinbach in the 4th inning. Hatcher on deck. 0-2. Now back.
One of the things they'll say about Nelson is that he'll battle you and throw strikes, and he certainly has proven that tonight.
We were talking about Dave Henderson and the way he stands at the plate. Dave is a right-hand hitting opposite of the way Franklin Stubbs used to hit. And Henderson is successful at it. Franklin was not, and strike 3 call.
He took a change, a straight change, took something off the fastball and just laid it in there, and all Stubbs could do was watch it float by.
So Stubbs, who is to provide a lot of sock without Gibson and Marshall, has struck out 3 times, but he has doubled in the only run. 2 down. Mickey Hatcher lines it down the left field line in the corner. Fair ball. Over to get it, Polonia. He does not have a good arm. Hatcher will run on it, and he has a double as he stays on the bag. Polonia cannot throw you out from that corner for sure, and Hatcher knew it the moment he left home plate.
That's one of the things that the scouting report said, that they could run on the Oakland A outfield, and Hatcher did not hesitate. He took a good look. That ball just inside the line. Polonia comes up with it cleanly, but Hatcher doesn't hesitate.
Then he had trouble staying on the bag. He almost did a belly flop across and over the bag.
He got too close to it.
Forgot his sled. And with 2 out, Danny Heap will be the batter. Heap, who wasn't supposed to play, but Marshall's back stiffened up, and it was Heap who doubled, opening up the 6th inning.
Watch how close he is to that bag, and he just carries him right over. Head, arm, body, knee. Get the Dodgers have to take Greg Louganis to spring training next year to help Hatcher hit that head-first slide.
Give him a 9-6. 1 ball and no strikes to Danny Heap. John Shelby on deck.
In the first 2 games, there were 2 foul outs. Tonight, we've had 5.
You can understand why in this spacious ballpark. Other note, the Dodgers have been retired once in order. Ground ball, but at McGuire, and Big Mark brings it over to the bag. The Dodgers leave Hatcher, and at the end of 6 1/2, a 1-1 tie. Now here's Bob Costas with tonight's special feature.
All right, Vin, the keys to success brought to you by Citicorp. All year long, Dennis Eckersley has been in the spotlight for the A's with 45 saves, but Tony La Russa's bullpen is deep and versatile, and people like Greg Cadaret and Gene Nelson are part of it. Tonight, when Bob Welch faltered, those two got the A's out of a bases-loaded, none-out jam. Now for the Dodgers, with John Tudor hurt early, Tim Leary and then Alejandro Pena picked up the slack. That was the case in Game 1. When Tim Belcher was wild, he had to come out of the game. The Dodger bullpen held the A's from the second inning on to set the stage for Kirk Gibson's heroics. Unsung hero.
A 1-1 tie as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Mark McGuire, Terry Steinbach, and Carney Lansford against right-hander Alejandro Pena. McGuire struck out and flied to center. Remember, he sent Shelby to the warning track at the 400-foot sign in the 4th inning. The count. A tribute indeed to some wonderful pitching to keep those two quiet. Of course, that one should have a little stardust on it. It was a grand slam. See how easy Pena has that wind up and delivery, and then suddenly the ball is on top of you.
He lulls you into some kind of a false security.
Boy, there's
that. That's some stat, isn't it?
Talk about two knockout punches. There they are, Canseco and McGuire.
More home runs than the Cardinals by 3.
0-2. Remember, he struck out Canseco. He has struck out Canseco, has Pena going head-to-head against him twice. Now working on McGuire. 1-2 the mark. Those who watch McGuire tell you that he is an uppercutter, so Pena is trying to keep that ball up, hoping that he'll go after it.
Try to climb that ladder with him, but he's been laying off that pitch. They think he's been just opening up a bit too soon. They want him to hit up the middle because he's strong enough to hit it out anywhere.
2-2. Got him. So that means Alejandro Pena has struck out 3 of the 4 batters he's faced since he picked up for Tim Leary. He struck out Polonia and Canseco, and now he gets McGuire.
The Dodger bullpen really didn't get the credit in that first game with Gibson taking all the headlines. They've really done the job for him.
Especially when you think they've gone to the bullpen prior to tonight. They went 18 times during the league championship series. Here's Steinbach. Steinbach hit back to the box, and he has the last hit, the double to right in the 4th inning.
Seems like the bullpen only gets a rest when Hershiser's pitching.
And it's about that. 1 ball and no strikes. Ball 2. That's why Dave Stewart was so important to the Oakland bullpen, because Stewart worked 275 innings. I mean, when he went out to the mound, the fellows in the pen had a chance to catch their breaths. 2-0. And that's line to left field. Base hit. Danny Heap over to play it on a hop. So Steinbach, isn't it amazing? Hasse is playing because they wanted him to catch, and they started Steinbach because he's so good against a left-hander, and the left-hander hadn't been there since the 4th batter. And it's Steinbach who has the 2 hits. It's Hasse who knocked in the run.
And to use a word of the 80s, Steinbach has had a lot of quality at bats. I mean, he hit the ball hard in that first game and didn't get any base hits.
We're in the bottom of the 7th inning with 1 out Terry Steinbach at first base. 1 run, 7 hits, and an error for the Dodgers. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors for the A's. And Carney Lansford ready to face Alejandro Pena. Lansford grounded to short, flied to right. Carney opening up. Lansford and Peronowski, Lasorda, Tim Cruz, they know that Tony La Russa will play hit and run. And here's the best they have. The best hit and run man on the club is Carney Lansford.
He might pitch out just to let him know he's thinking that way, too.
There it is. One thought following the next.
Well, the thing you want to do is send him a message over there that, hey, I'm not asleep either, and it's just a constant battle. Scioscia looking for some help if he can get it.
Steinbach held on by Franklin Stubbs. You just can't make a mistake now. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. Scioscia again looks over into the Dodger dugout. Steinbach is drawing throws, but Terry is taking a very short lead.
I think he's only off about 2 steps.
He could fall back on the bag. And the Cobra is out of the basket. Dave Parker. 1 ball and no strikes to count to Carney Lansford. They are willing to bet the house on a hit and run play. And they want to try and take a step away from Steinbach, who stole 3 for 3 during the year.
I also think he might break a bit too soon. One of those first move by the pitcher, he'll break for second and they'll get him.
1-0 to Lansford. Time. The A's scored in the 3rd inning. The Dodgers tied it up in the 5th. The Dodgers blew a golden opportunity in the 6th, and the A's are now trying to come back. Now back. 1-1. Lansford again checking, but we mentioned this in game 1. A lot of times La Russa uses his third base coach as a decoy. Invariably, you'll watch a telecast, the hitter backs out, and they always show you the third base coach, but it ain't necessarily so, like the song says. The sign could be coming from Latchman at first or from the dugout. 1-1.
It doesn't necessarily have to come from La Russa either. It could be anybody next to him or down the line. He'll just have to say something, and maybe somebody with a towel or a jacket, or you said the other night, even the trainer. Anybody. It's on that bench.
1-1 to Carney Lansford. It's a hit and run spot. We'll see if it pops up. Steinbach's not going. Fouled away. 1-2.
That could be just a decoy right there. He may have told somebody down the line.
Scioscia, meanwhile, pinwheeling his right arm around to loosen up, figuring he's going to be called on to make a throw. 1-2 to Carney Lansford. Steinbach, short lead at first. And Pena off the rubber.
Well, Scioscia looked over at the bench and he saw something, and then he...
Oh, I know what it is. They wanted to move Hatcher. Hatcher was closer to the line, and he went no, and they suddenly gestured and moved Mickey Hatcher more towards right center field. He moved about 8 steps, 9 steps.
Because he was looking into that bench. A lot of times you look to see if you can get some help.
What does that mean? Breaking ball down and away?
I would think.
There it is, and he went after it and popped it up. Stubbs is calling, And Socia alertly took the bat away because there was one chance in 100 that Stubbs would step on the loose bat. So it was a heads-up play by the catcher.
It wasn't that much, but when you're just standing there watching the play, rather than be a spectator, why take a chance? It was a good hustling play by Socia. One of those things that gets lost. There's the breaking ball. He got under it. Socia could have made the play, but he sees Stubbs coming, and he knows it's an easier play for Stubbs, so gives him a lot of room, and then picks up the bat, makes it a little bit easier.
Now Glenn Hubbard, who had singled and grounded out, and we're wondering, where is Dave Parker? In other words, Parker was very obvious with his presence. I don't know whether that was a deke or not. Parker was doing all kinds of things getting ready. And remember, he can't bat for Hasse. No way. Then they would really be in trouble on their DH. 1 ball and no strikes to Glenn Hubbard.
They are really watching Steinbach. I mean, I have to believe that Socia's even given signals to throw over there.
No strikes. Ball 2.
Settle down, come set, and get the hitter. That's what you have to do, is what Socia is saying.
Hubbard with a base hit tonight. Glenn had a walk in the previous game, and he had 2 base hits in game 1. Just the kind of a guy to give you a bad time. A veteran, a gutsy veteran at that, and a small strike zone. In there. 2-1. Bottom of the 7th inning, a 1-1 tie. Fastball hit to straightaway center. Shelby looking up into the night. Okay, no runs, 1 hit, a man left, and at the end of 7, a 1-1 tie.
The 1988 World Series is brought to you by Buick and your Buick dealer. The Great American Road belongs to Buick.
John Shelby got a piece of a foul ball, 0-1 the count. Shelby struck out, walked, stole second, and got to third, and then last time up singled. 1 ball, 1 strike. Shelby, then Mike Davis, and Mike Socia. And it's a sinker hooked into center for a base hit. So Shelby with 2 singles on a walk. Friends, a reminder, this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. So the Dodgers keep getting people aboard, and that's it. They have 8 hits. They've left 9 in 7 innings, and they have Shelby with a leadoff hit and Mike Davis coming up. Gene Nelson, and there's Jay Howell. We haven't seen Jay Howell in a game since October the 8th, and Tony La Russa has Rick Honeycutt in the bullpen. So with Davis and Socia back-to-back, we'll see if he makes that move. He brought Cadaret in, and now he says, yep, bring in my left-hander. So 1-1, 8th inning. Nelson leads, enter Honeycutt. Rick Honeycutt tuning up. A chance for a reminder following the conclusion of tonight's game. Stay tuned for your late local news on most of these NBC stations. Then come home to the best in late night comedy, starting with The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. The laughs continue on Late Night with David Letterman, and later with Bob Costas. Tonight, only on NBC. 2 moves. Critical moves. As as Tony La Russa goes to the bullpen for Rick Honeycutt. And Tommy Lasorda immediately counters that move by sending up Dave Anderson to bat for Mike Davis. And I would say, after watching them all year, Anderson is sent up to bunt. We'll see.
He could have one of those sandwich board signs that says bunt. He has to bunt right now, and he'll try to make McGuire feel that ball.
Anderson, by the way, hasn't played in a while. His back flared up on him the last week of the regular season. He wasn't eligible to play in the league championship series. So you got a little bit of a rusty hitter up here. More reason to show bunt, and he fouled it back in the batter's box. 0-1.
Corny Lansford plays close to the line, and he's in a little bit and charging hard. McGuire has to wait a little bit more, because if he breaks too soon, Shelby is going to be taken off.
Interesting now, if Anderson succeeds, then you have Honeycutt and a left-hand hitter on deck, Mike Scioscia. Or would Lasorda counter with Rick Dempsey? And if so, the Oakland's bullpen will be ready. Time now. A ball loose from the Dodger pen, where Jay Howell is loosening up. Todd Maulding retrieving it. Eric Plunk, who was so impressive the last time we saw him, big right-hander, is throwing in the Oakland bullpen. 1-1 in the 8th. Anderson showing bunt. Lansford coming. Foul. 0-2.
Now Lasorda has a decision to make. Based on the fact that Anderson has not played that much, what will he do? Will he ask him to bunt again? Maybe put a play on. I would think Hasse and Honeycutt would waste a pitch to see what's going on here, because they got him 2 strikes.
Shelby stole 16 out of 21 during a regular year. We'll see what that means as far as putting on some kind of a play to turn him loose. Nobody out in the 8th. 1-1 tie. Honeycutt, a veteran, a former Dodger, excellent competitor. One ball and 2 strikes.
Well, if nothing else, that told you that the bunt is not on. Can't take anything for granted, obviously, but he turned him loose on that one.
One and 2 to Dave Anderson. Lansford is back. He figures no chance for a bunt. Anderson, during the regular year, struck out 15% of the time. Strictly a contact hitter, no power.
They are playing him very shallow. I doubt if Shelby can go to third base on a ball hit the right field. Canseco is in more than the other 2.
1 and 2. Shelby not going. Full swing foul. 1 run, 8 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors for the A's. Tudor, who had to leave with a tender elbow after facing only 4 batters. Then Leary for 3 2/3 innings, and then Pena. Meanwhile, Tony La Russa had Bob Welch have to leave in that 6th inning, and what a job Messes Cadaret and Nelson did. And now Honeycutt is in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Dave Anderson.
Hasse looking at that bench, seeing if they see something he didn't see.
Breaking ball got him. Little slider down and in. So Lasorda can't get his bunt. Couldn't get the runs in the 6th inning when he had the bases loaded and nobody out.
Here's that slider. He really gets it in a great spot. There was nothing Anderson can do with it, even if he puts the bat on the ball. It's a little bit of a ground ball. Now Scioscia, even though there is 1 out, Lasorda may want to start something to stay away from that double play.
Scioscia has singled to center. struck out and fouled out. Remember, he was jammed when Cadaret came in and hit him on the fists with the bases loaded and nobody out. Now they play hit and run with Scioscia a lot. I mean, you stress how much they play hit and run.
The hit and run play is really a defensive play where you want to stay away from that inning record, which is the double play. If you get the hit, that's the bonus. Big lead by Shelby.
I was just watching Hubbard and Weiss. Normally, either one would hold a glove up to cover his face and then either keep his mouth closed or open to indicate who was going to cover. I didn't see either one do it. Let's see if they do it this time or if they touch their hats.
Honeycutt had talked to him before. Weiss had pointed to him as if he were going to be the man to cover it. There he goes up with the glove, though. Weiss did.
Yeah, I would have to believe those two have to make a very important decision, as does Lasorda, as to when. And Russa trying to figure out, do I call a pitch out? So the game is on here. Good save by Mark McGuire. You know, if a ball gets away here, you got miles and miles to go before you sleep. Shelby a pretty good lead, and he's just increased it and was going back to the bag. So Honeycutt made a wonderful pitch to have Shelby going back to the bag and have a strike at the plate to Scioscia.
What he did with his knee movement, and Lasorda is hollering about balk. I tell you, that was a pretty good move. Now Lasorda's going through a whole bunch of. We got quite a game going within a game here.
I love the veterans because Honeycutt knows every trick in the book.
Oh, sure.
0-1.
I'll tell you, he put a pretty good move on him. He popped his shoestrings with that last one. He went up with that leg, and Shelby broke back, and he came to the plate.
Shelby went to the bag as if he was almost going to be picked off on a pitch that was swung out and missed to the plate. 0-1. One thing they're not going to play Scioscia to pull at all. Canseco way off the line in right center. He plays an unorthodox way. He stands sideways in right field. See if he does it again now. It's almost as if Jose stands shading right center and facing the right field foul line. Maybe it was just on that one pitch. 0-1. Nope, he's sideways again.
It's almost like he's telling the center fielder, from my back to the line I got. The rest of it, you take.
I don't think I've ever seen a right fielder turn it back on the center fielder like that. It's style.
Hey, when you hit 40 home runs and steal over 40 bases, or 40 whatever he hit, I tell you, you can do whatever you want.
0-1. Scioscia having a very tough night at the plate. He came up with a runner at third in the fourth inning and struck out. Came up with the bases loaded and nobody out in the sixth, then fouled out.
So he made a tough pitch on him. Real tough pitch. Honeycutt is just keeping Shelby close and making tough pitches on Scioscia.
You know what's killing Lasorda? Honeycutt is one of his favorite people in all the world. Except right now. And Scioscia, a little looper over third. Lansford in foul ground.
And I'll tell you, the only way Shelby's ever going to steal if he makes one of those guesses where the first move he breaks, and if he's right and comes to the pitch comes to the plate, he'll make it. Otherwise, he'll get picked off because he's really sending him back. Breaking ball outside part of the plate, and you can see he just broke that bat right in half. Easy pop fly.
Now Lasorda really has a case of the shorts as we see Lansford go back and make a good play. You have Hamilton coming up, but Tommy knows full well if I let Shelby run, and he's a pretty good risk to run, but if I turn him loose, they can walk Hamilton, and then I have Alfredo Griffin hitting less than 200. And if I bat for Griffin, I really weaken myself defensively in the last two innings. Hamilton came up with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 6th inning. A rookie hit a ground ball that was turned into an out at the plate by Lansford, and everybody just moved up 90 feet. When the A's bat in the bottom of the 8th, they're due to send up Ron Hasse, Walt Weiss, and then Louis Polonia.
Eckersley has been getting all the credit in that Red Sox bullpen as we look at Dave Parker. I mean the A's, but this A's bullpen with the Nelsons and the Catarets and Honeycutt, they've really done a job.
And big Eric Plunk down there now. 0-1. Shelby started to lean. I think that's why Honeycutt decided to go over there.
He's going to have to make that first move. I'm going to second base. He's going to have to guess because Honeycutt has put 2 pretty good moves on him.
Hamilton a look at Amalfitano. A 1-1 tie, top of the 8th, 2 out.
Good lead.
Maybe his biggest lead. Good sinker. 0-2. Now there's Alfredo Griffin. But of course, because he has not hit, it has changed the inning up to here. No balls and 2 strikes to Jeff Hamilton. Hamilton has walked, singled, hit into a force play. He's very strong. He's got a lot of power. He would make you pay if you make a mistake. Slider in tight under the knees, 1-2.
Oh, he was trying to make that same pitch he made on Dave Anderson. He got Anderson, but Hamilton laid off.
It's nothing like it. There wasn't very many like it. But remember Steve Carlson in his heyday with that slider to the right-hand hitter?
Almost illegal.
1-2 to Hamilton. Rick Honeycutt, the 4th Oakland pitcher. Welsh, Cadaret, Nelson, and now Rick. Two and 2 the count to Hamilton. Dodgers have left 9. The only time they didn't leave a man is when they didn't get anybody on base. That was in the 3rd inning when Welsh retired them in order. 1-1 in the 8th, 2 out.
Tell you, you like to see a pitcher do that because you know the situation and just keep throwing over there. If nothing else, it tells that runner, I'm going to watch you. You're not going to extend your lead. If they get the base hit, you got a chance to make a play at 3rd base.
Honeycutt's been pitching in the big league since 1977. Got him. Low slider out of the strike zone. The best he could have done was hit a ground ball. The Honeycutt strikes out 2. The Dodgers leave another, and it's still 1-1. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning in a 1-1 tie, the issue is still in doubt, but I'm sure everyone feels that the pivotal point so far was the top of the 6th inning when the Dodgers loaded the bases with nobody out.
It certainly was, and it shows that the Oakland A's ball club, in a well-rounded ball club, you get a lot of headlines from Canseco and McGuire and Eckersley, but that bullpen with Nelson and Cadaret really did a job.
And if you want to examine the Dodgers, you say, oh, yeah, they were lucky with Gibson, and they got a great game from Hershiser, but now here they are losing Tudor, and they're still dead even with the A's.
And Marshall.
So both sides hanging tough here in a 1-1 tie as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. And now it's Oakland's turn. Ron Hasse, Walt Weiss, and Louis Polonia. But remember, we saw Big Dave Parker stretching in the dugout, and we're waiting to see if he pops up. Hasse is 1 for 1. Singled in a run in the 3rd inning. walked and was doubled off on the line drive flagged by Leary. Ball 2. Pena working his 3rd inning.
And really trying to stick to that report on Hasse, who is a dead low ball hitter. 2 high fastballs out of the zone.
2-0. 3-0. Jesse Orozco has joined Jay Howell down in the Dodger bullpen. And Dennis Eckersley in the Oakland pen. 3-0 to Hasse. In there. Hasse hit 7 during the regular year.
Get that ball inside, he can turn on it.
3-1. Foul back out of play, and the count 3-2.
That was that high fastball. I doubt if it was a strike, but when you get that green light from the third base coach and you see a high fastball, as we look at Walt Weiss, you're going to go to work on it.
Pena trying to rub a wrinkle in a new ball. Lasorda's got enough wrinkles, as has his pitching coach, Ron Perinoski.
He wants to know if they're ready. That's what they usually use. Take the hat off and tell me. When they get the hat off, that says, yeah, we're ready.
3-2 to Ron Hasse. Now back.
That was a tough pitch, man. I mean, that was a good pitch. Hasse fought it off inside, fastball, moving.
La Russa and his hitting instructor, Bob Watson. Hasse working on a full count.
Different hitters have different ways to stay sharp, and you can see Hasse with that bat in one hand, kind of a windmill thing. It's a timing mechanism.
3-2. Boy, they're going after each other now. Hasse cutting on pretty good fastballs as we look at Oral Hershiser now playing the role of a cheerleader. Pena throwing in the low 90s. Occasionally, he'll have a burst of brilliance, although that's in dispute when he gets up around 95. That's a little questionable. 3-2. And he walked him. So Pena pitching very carefully to Ron Hasse, walks him. That brings up Walt Weiss. And the first thing you want to know, did they have Weiss bunt much this year? And the answer is yes. He bunted 8 times.
And how about a pinch run for Hasse? You can't do that because of his DH thing.
So Hasse has to stay at first. Weiss checking to see if they're going to bunt or play hit and run. And on deck, Louis Polonia.
If he doesn't bunt, it's got to be a big, big upset. Hamilton has already moved in close at third base.
Weiss likes to bunt and will either dump the bunt or even drag it along first. 1-1, bottom of the 8th inning.
I tell you, in the 8th inning, he better not worry about a base hit. If they ask him to bunt, he better make sure he gets that man over, and he's going to take a pretty good bunt to get Hasse going. They could play, I doubt it, but they could play that run and bunt.
Hasse barely off the bag at first. Full swing and a fly ball to center.
I don't believe it.
Walt Weiss allowed to swing away and a lazy fly ball. The same Walt Weiss who hit .250 for the year.
You're in the 8th inning. I mean, I know the strategy is perception, and it's not a second guess. It's how Tony feels. He called the play, but in the 8th inning, you have to bunt.
Well, one thing, he's equipped to defend his own case.
Well, he'd beat me out of it because, as I say, strategy is perception. What we think really doesn't count as what he thinks, and obviously, Weiss was allowed to hit.
So now here's Polonia, who grounded out and struck out and appeared to make a critical bad throw and got away with it. He pops it in the air, foul. Hamilton coming over to the stands, no play.
Look how close he got to making that play, though. Boy, there's really acres and acres when you talk about foul territory.
No balls and 1 strike to count to Louis Polonia. On deck, Dave Henderson. And, of course, that's what makes Henderson so important, and Polonia Canseco. Lasorda will have Griffin, Sachs, and Stubbs due up in the 9th inning. 0-1. And that's popped up, and it will be Stubbs, although Sachs normally takes it and does. 2 down. Dave Henderson, the batter, 0 for 3. Grounded to first, struck out and popped to short. Now becomes, this will be the biggest at-bat he's had. Trying to extend the inning and let Canseco get up there. 1 run, 8 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors for the A's. The A's scored in the 3rd. The Dodgers got a run over in the 5th. They're not holding Hasse now. Stubbs behind him. Strike.
He's a little bit behind him, and somebody better tell Pena. And Stubbs now is going to holler to him. I didn't get a chance to say it, but that's what was bothering the bench, was that Pena had not looked over there, and if he starts to throw over there and holds up, it's obviously a balk. So the first baseman has to let him know that, hey, I'm behind him.
0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Lasorda lost Tudor in the 2nd inning, and then he lost Marshall, and we haven't seen Gibson. 1-1. Fouled away. 1-2. Pena.
I was going to say, we've talked about Pena, but he is going to throw that ball when he is ready.
To repeat that nickname of slow, and it really applies. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Henderson just fouling him off. The Dodgers, I think, when the series started, I guess because of the hand position of Dave Henderson, they thought that they could really come inside and jam him, and they found out immediately that they couldn't.
He's been keeping that ball outside, Pena. He threw that curveball in the 6th inning to get him. Just hadn't gone back to it yet. Socha sets up outside.
1-2. Working high. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out. A 1-1 tie in the 8th. Growing larger by the moment on deck. Stubbs not on the bag with Hasse. 2-2. Foul back.
Came inside that time, out of the strike zone. Henderson is known if you get that breaking ball and get too much of the strike zone, and it's not that real good downer, mistake hitter. And I tell you, Pena's not about to fool with it. He's been throwing nothing but fastballs to him.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. 1-1 in the 8th. Ron Hasse, who led off the inning with a walk, still standing at first. Breaking ball, little slider got him, and that takes care of Henderson. And Pena shuts him down with 4 strikeouts. Still 1-1. What's that line? It all depends on whose ox is gored. Guess whose ox got the horns? And we go to the 9th. Alfredo Griffin, Steve Sax, and Franklin Stubbs due up in a 1-1 tie. Rick Honeycutt, who came in the 8th inning and struck out Dave Anderson and then retired the side on the mound. Strike. Alfredo struck out, sacrificed, and grounded out.
He practiced a lot of bunting, as I said. Right side pushing it past the pitcher.
He hit 160 right-handed all year. 160.
Got to try something. That slider where Honeycutt is throwing it, I tell you, he got Anderson, he got Hamilton. It's really diving in. It's biting.
It really amazes me, for whatever reason it was the change, why he was such a bad hitter this year in the National League after the numbers he put on the board for Oakland. I mean, he feels like it's a mismatch trying to bunt with 2 strikes. 1 away.
It kind of boggles your mind if you have bunt on you're intending to bunt when you walk up, but you think you'd try it on the first 2 and then go the other way. But the element of surprise was not there, at least the way he bunted down third base, because Lansford was in about 5 steps.
1 down in the 9th. Here's Steve Sax, single to right. Lost a hit on a good play by Walt Weiss. Lost a hit on a fine play by Carney Lansford and fouled out. 1 for 4. He'll probably try to go to right field. I think we mentioned in the first game, he's about as good as any of the right-hand hitters the Dodgers have in going up the middle or away. One and one. The Dodgers are squandering opportunities. They've left 10. And they have had a dozen Dodgers strike out. Remember, Bob Welch struck out 8 in 5 innings. He tried to going up the middle, and there's Hubbard behind the bag. Got him. Now Franklin Stubbs will give way to Tracy Woodson. Woodson, a right-hand batter, will come up and hit for Stubbs. And Stubbs knocked in the only Dodger run back in the 5th inning when he doubled against Bob Welch. But Stubbs, who really is a feast or famine hitter, also struck out 3 times. There's Sax trying to go up the middle, and Glenn Hubbard didn't have much chance to set. He had to throw in a hurry, and he had just enough on it.
Since Honeycutt has come in, they haven't been able to get a ball out of the infield. 3 strikeouts, a pop fly, and a ground ball.
Number 21, Tracy.
So Tracy Woodson, the batter. And remember, in the bottom of the 9th inning, the A's have Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, and Terry Steinbach. The big man will start it off. And I would think, in looking at the Dodger bullpen and realizing that Pena has worked 3 innings, the pitcher would be Jay Howell.
He's throwing like he's coming in. He's really throwing hard.
But remember, just to think ahead, Jay Howell has not pitched in a game since the 8th of October. And boy, that's a long time if you're a relief specialist and you're asked to go in and throw strikes, and they hand you, here, get Canseco and McGuire for me. So here's Woodson. 4-1. Tracy, 0 for 2 in the series. Ball 2. Pride of Tennessee, Rick Honeycutt. Fly ball to right center. It's playable. Moving in and over is Henderson. And we're going to go to the bottom of the 9th in a 1-1 tie. And the first man up will be Canseco.
Jose Canseco will lead it off, and I tell you, the night he's had, beginning with John Tudor, with his off-speed pitching, Canseco gets under it. And then Leary gets it inside and kind of jams him. This is the best pitch he had all night, and Pena just blows it right by him. He just looks at it for a third strike, a fastball.
And so to face the challenge of Jose Canseco, then Mark McGwire, and then Terry Steinbach, is a former member of the Oakland A's, Jay Howell. Target is in slight right center field. Now, the last time Jay Howell appeared in a game was against the New York Mets, October the 8th. You remember the incident, pitching to Kevin McReynolds, and he was ejected from the game for having pine tar on his glove, suspended for 3 games, and that was reduced to 2. Well, he hasn't been in a game since October 8th. What a challenge. Jay had 21 saves for the Dodgers during the regular year. Busted bat, pop fly, and it'll be sacks. The meat part of the bat is just beyond third base, and Jimmy Lefevre will retrieve it. So Canseco has one go off in his hands, 1 out.
He was looking fastball, got fastball, and Howell makes a good pitch. But look at that. Most of that bat broke off. They were not like an ordinary broken bat, Vin. I mean, like it splintered more than it broke. Look at how much he's got left.
More like a weapon. It's a weapon with him, whether it's broken or otherwise.
I wonder how much the torque was a factor in that.
1 ball and no strikes. McGwire struck out twice. Flied to center about 395 feet. Fouled away. Howell with a fastball, great curveball, throws a little splitter and a chain. Interestingly, when they found him in possession of the pine tar on his glove, they said, well, it helps you throw your curve. During the sequence of pitches that particular time, he threw all fastball. 1 and 2.
He hasn't thrown a curveball yet. To Canseco, fastball. McGwire's been fastballs.
In fact, there was a mistake on television where they showed a foul ball that had appeared to have pine tar on it. And what it was the seal that smudges. I have seen boxes and boxes of baseball sent back because that seal smudges. It was rather unfair to say that was the pine tar. 2 and 2.
He's throwing hard. I'll tell you, he's rearing back, and you can see he's pumped up.
1 out in the 9th, a 1-1 tie. McGwire with Steinbach on deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now back. Ooh, did he take a rip.
And Howell is yet to throw anything but the fastball. He is just matching strength against strength.
Howell, and it's odd that he has been out of action. It seems for one reason or another, he has not seen much work at all. And the same for this year, as far as innings pitched. Fouled away.
Another fastball. They say if you can climb the ladder on McGwire, but Howell is just looks like he's just trying to throw strikes because that was a low fastball.
So we've seen Tudor, Leary, Pena, and Howell, Welsh, Cadaret, Nelson, and Honeycutt. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Mark. Fouled away. Center field, and this one is going to be gone. Home run, McGuire. Story. The former Dodger, Rick Honeycutt, wins for Oakland. The former Oakland A loses for the Dodgers, and the kid from Southern California breathes life into Northern California.
Jay Howell challenged him with a fastball. He had some good cuts. He knew that one was gone right there. He took 2 steps, and he knew he touched one off. And this crowd really enjoying it.
McGuire, who had his coach at SC with him before the game, Rod Dado, gives his old coach a big thrill.
But I'm sure they'll not be talking, the Dodgers won't be talking about that pitch. They'll be talking about that 6th inning.
They'll be talking about men left on base. Let's go to Marv Albert.
All right, and here is Mark McGuire, the hero of the ball game just a moment ago. I know you were mobbed moments ago, and folks around here want to know, has it been a collective batting slump of the Oakland A's, or has it been Dodger pitching?
It's only been a couple of games, and when you're playing in the World Series or the playoffs, everything gets blown out of proportion. We're swinging the bats fine. We're hitting balls at people. You know, we're getting our cuts in. It's just a matter of time, just like tonight right now.